We are live.
All right. From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American
Why
Green
will they do it cheerfully?
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
This is Andrew.
And we're back. The three of us are back again, finally. It's been a few weeks, but we all made it. We're all still alive. There's something to be said for that. There is hope yet.
There's cake at the end of this rainbow.
Cake.
I'm mixing like every metaphor in my head right now.
I was
like portal, rainbows, and cakes.
It's all here.
Pot of gold somewhere
It's all coming to us.
that Calvin and Hobbes is pissing on.
Calvin and Hobbes. That was a weird comic strip. I don't know everything about it, but
I think I read every one, at least in book form, and I like that comic strip a lot. I know it was never going to happen again, but
Isn't every comic strip kind of weird?
yeah, that one was poignant though because there was a lot of strange shit going on there.
Well, yeah, it was like introspection of a 9-year-old child and his imaginary friend.
What was the one I remember where they were on a roof and they'd made a snowman and they made hundreds of snowmen down below, and like the subtext or the text below said, and with nothing left to live for, he obeyed the chant from the crowd below. Like there's snowmen off. I read that like 25 years ago, so I was like, that's kind of weird and dark. Don't know what that means.
I haven't read in a while, but I always like what they did with Garfield. Where it's called, is it called Garfield minus Garfield? I think that's what it's called. Where they take Garfield out of the comic, and it's basically like weird introspective nightmare of John Arbuckle.
Yeah, because the words are still there.
Yeah,
But it's like he's hearing them in his head.
let's check that out and see if I can find some GIF posted on Reddit or something.
I mean, it's a whole. You can find it online. It's just called Garfield minus Garfield, and it's like, yeah, look it up and we'll read it out loud on the internet if it hasn't been taken down already. It's like one of those weird found art pieces where you just like remove something and now it's art.
Yes.
There's other minus comics out there too, but see, it's just John with spaghetti hair. It's two empty frames and John with spaghetti hair. I wanted to be a cowboy when I grew up, and then it's just two empty frames of John with his eyes like wide open.
Trying to find that one.
What one? The
one I was telling you. I'm trying to remember if I remember that right.
Oh, the Calvin the Hobbes and the snowman.
Yeah, because the snowman one, there was like ones where the snowmen were zombies, and then there was ones like aliens, and yeah, there was like I can't remember if it was. I think you remembered it right, where it was like a suicide thing where he jumped off the roof. But I can't. There's other ones where he's built like a bunch of snowmen as like army scenes or zombie scenes or like rioting scenes and shit.
Yeah, so I know that was before. I know I read before the internet, so it wasn't an internet meme. Yeah, there it is. I remembered it right.
That's what I loved about that comic so much is because it's not only based in reality. Like some of the times, it just went into his imagination where he's like flying a jet fighter under a dinosaur and all this other shit, or just like aliens or a bunch of weird shit going on. And the art got totally or somewhat different. It looked a lot darker, a lot different than just the comic strip below it. It was just a good comic strip.
Yeah, and then of course you had the other big one, The Far Side.
Oh yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, there's not a lot of. I mean, I guess I haven't really picked up the paper in a while to really see what has replaced all those good comics.
I mean, there's a lot of good online ones. What was that? What was that one you showed me that has like a lot of the weird like 50s anachronism stuff, and it's like something meat or something like that, or
Red Meat, yeah, with
Yeah.
Milkman Dan. Yeah, it's just basically the same comic strip over, like reprocessed. Because like Milkman Dan's a raging alcoholic milk delivery man, and of course that doesn't exist anymore. And the cartoons all look, because he's always smiling when he says stuff, and cartoons look like they're from the 50s or something.
I like the one where like the dad's hanging out with his son or whatever, and he's like, "What's wrong, Billy? Like this movie has everything: boobs, explosions, guns. Like what more could you want?" He's like, "Dad, pass me the cough syrup because we're still in the car."
Yes, those are good, bizarre cartoons.
Terminal Lance is really good, but you kind of have to be in the Marine Corps to really appreciate it.
Yeah, like I said, I remember I totally misinterpreted that. I mean, I guessed what it meant, but
So remember I saw the one the other day that was like, the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm the best skater around. Like I never have to do anything. I don't get on any working parties or whatever." And then some guy pops up and he's like, "You know nothing of skating." And then he just disappears and it's like, "Whoa, who the fuck was that?" It's like, that was a chief warrant officer. Which again, like you wouldn't understand. So. But it's kind of slightly funny anyways.
I mean, it's weird. It's weird on its surface, but I assume there's more going on there. Here's a good.
I could try to. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like chief warrant officers are people they started as enlisted and then they became officers. So they kind of know what's going on. But like, I don't know if necessarily the joke is like, hey, you never see a chief warrant officer ever do anything or what it is.
Here's a good Red Meat one. I'll just read it. Clear out your locker, Milkman Dan. You're on suspension until you've attended an intensive rehab program. Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to it. It's not a vacation, Dan. You better get your act together if you intend to keep working here at Anderson Farms Dairy. I realize that, and when I return to work in a couple of days, I'll be a changed man. And he responds, a couple of days, with the question mark, exclamation point. Of course, as profoundly drunk as I am, it'll take me at least that long to execute a successful escape. That's Red Meat. That's been around forever.
I think Cyanide and Happiness was a.
Yeah,
I think that was a comic strip because now it's like they had videos and now it's actually it's on CISO. It's an actual show.
Yeah, I've only liked one of their shorts, and it was a short about like this big guy goes into a bar and it's like $1 shot for women or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, give me my $1 shot, I'm a woman." And the guy is like, "No, you're fucking dude. You pay full price." Or whatever. It's like, no, I'll prove it. Just, grab my vagina. Whatever. Just put your hand down there. I don't want it. He was like, no, I'm not going to do it. You're a guy. And he's like, no, seriously, do it. He's like, here's the $1. And whatever. And then the bartender eventually reaches down. And he's like, pulls his hand back in disgust. He's like, hi, I just paid you $1 to feel my balls. it was fucking hilarious. But like, I clicked on other ones after that. I was like, oh, this is really funny. I wonder what else they got. Like, nothing was as good as that, which I don't wonder why that is. But
Yeah, there are some good weird comics on the internet.
Yeah, stuff pops up on Reddit every once in a while. And it's like, oh yeah, that thing. I recognize that art.
And I always liked, or the ones I used to like to read when I was real little. Of course, there was Peanuts.
oh god, I always hated that.
Really? I like the holiday specials.
I've never been able to stand Charlie Brown. I don't know what it is. If it's the wholesome thing or I don't know. It's just no. Like I like Calvin and Hobbes and occasionally.
Not a family circus guy.
No.
That's still around?
Yeah.
Probably.
It's like a little corner every day. It's just some Bible quote or some like, "Oh, love your family" thing. And it's like, which is fine, and it has its place, but it's not my world.
You're a big Kathy fan, right?
No, and that hasn't existed since the early 2000s. So thank God for that. Oh, that's what I was gonna say, Dilbert. Oh man.
Dilbert was pretty subversive, so
Yeah. There's a couple.
The guy who did that went nuts, didn't he?
I don't know.
He just make all his money because I know he started to write like serious business books after a while, and
Well, yeah, but yeah, I think that's just him writing from experience or whatever.
oh, I thought he went. I heard he went crazy, but that could be wrong. Haven't followed up on it.
I don't know, maybe. After they made the cartoon, they're like, "Ah, fuck you, P, and I'm going nuts."
I'm gonna go crazy for a while. I'm gonna start talking like Hunter S. Thompson. Start appearing, with weird hats and cigars and.
Yeah, I remember one thing from the cartoon they made was like the reason he didn't have a dad is because he was still at an all you can eat buffet, and they're really holding them to that promise.
And there's comic strips I never got, like Doonesbury and stuff like that, where it's always like this right wing military stuff all the time.
Doonesbury's to the left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
There was one guy I know that was like an RA when I was at College during the summer. Like he really loved that comic strip editor. So never understood why because I never got any of the humor.
I think Doonesbury kind of reached its apex during the Nixon administration. That's when it was, or maybe I could be wrong on that, but I know there was a time where it was like super relevant. Because when did it start?
That was like the Daily Show and George W. Bush. That was its time.
Yeah, I think so. Because I know it was really, it almost started off as like a subversive thing that only appeared in weird magazines, and then it slowly built up. But I don't know much about Doonesbury. I guess to say it was leftist would not be right. It's kind of more just mocking, I guess. But I always thought I think I've read some things.
Oh yeah, Penny Arcade. That's a pretty big webcomic. They have.
Oh, yeah. I like their games, or at least like a couple games.
They have they have conventions. They have 3 conventions or 4 now every year, just based on a webcomic. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, not really based on a webcomic. It's just like the people that make the webcomic run these events.
Well, like now all the shit that's in like the last time I picked up a paper, it's like I think there's stuff called like retail and fucking like couples or something like that. It's like a bunch of either like married or divorced people and people working like shitty low end job like comics. And retail is kind of funny because if you ever worked retail, then it makes sense and it is funny. But other than that, like I don't think there's a lot of good standout comics anymore that aren't really the old hat or hasn't been around for a long time that's still in there now. There's no new groundbreaking ones. Like I think
but
came around here had Boondocks for a while or whatever, but I never really got into that.
But the audience of the paper is probably pretty
Well, I know, but that's,
limited. So.
I mean, that's where everybody got their exposure to. I mean, comic strips. I wasn't online, obviously. I probably should have figured that was online now predominantly, but I don't really look for that online.
Yeah, but
Well, I remember we were talking at the beginning before we started recording this masterpiece that we were supposed to watch and review 2 films, but I didn't get the message. It was either Ben-Hur, My Little Pony.
yeah,
Ben-Hur, my question with that is why did this need a remake, and why was it remade with people I've never heard of?
okay,
for $120 million.
The one at 59 had fucking Charlton Heston in it, and it's a movie that still stands up pretty good today.
It's called Nobody Remembers What It Was. So they can pass it off as original, and they needed money. That's the main reason.
This is not a good way to make money, considering it's made a whopping $26 million in the U.S.
I don't. Maybe MGM, or I'm not even sure if MGM releases one. I guess they had to have, but they must have just ran out of original IP to remake, and that was the last one.
Oh, huh.
Maybe it's
By the guy who makes some of my favorite Russian movies, though.
Oh, is that Tamir Boomka?
Yeah, however you say
Kevin.
it.
There's a B. It starts with a B. There's some K's and V's in there.
Yeah, Birkenhoff or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
I guess
too bad. I mean, I thought he was going to be in director's jail over Abraham Lincoln, but we'll never hear from him again.
Well, yeah, I think this is probably the biggest movie he's made, because
Yeah.
like a lot of the reason why he keeps getting to make movies is because he makes these big action movies fairly cheaply because they shoot them all in Eastern Europe.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Because that's like Wanted was. I think they spent like $60 million on that movie, and it looks like $120 million movie.
I remember you told me about that, and I finally watched that. I was pretty impressed. It's like,
Oh, okay.
it was actually a fair. I watched it like a year ago.
Oh, okay.
It was actually a pretty good movie. I was like, this is a neat idea. Very much like Night Watch in a lot of ways. Only the story moved along,
Yeah.
more quickly. But it's like, oh yeah, I can see that this is the director. This has that DNA in it of this strange subculture, and things are not exactly explained, but it's still cool to watch. And we're doing, bullet tricks, which those are always cool.
which got the MythBusters involved and had to do a whole fucking. Can you curve a bullet?
Can you curve a bullet? Nope.
I mean, you could if you had the reflexes of a machine.
Well, no, they threw the thing on a machine and had it like whip around at like 50 miles an hour, and it's like, nope, bullet didn't curve.
Fast, huh? Too much force.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be possible.
I mean, you could do something if the barrel was like 100 feet long.
Yeah, you could corner shot him, sure. But
But no, I guess I didn't know that was the guy that directed the Wanted and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's sad that they got somebody that might actually be more talented.
Dude,
doing something
Night Watch,
else.
Day Watch. Did they ever do the third Watch movie, Twilight Watch or something?
well, I know one was written, but Day Watch didn't do nearly as well as Night Watch.
Yeah.
And Day Watch was even more like, oh wow, what's this 45-minute nightclub scene? Holy shit! Can we move the story along, please?
Yeah, because I remember getting through Night Watch. It was a great movie, and then trying to watch Day Watch was fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't. So there is a third book. I don't even think because Day Watch and Night Watch were translated into English. I don't know if Twilight was.
Oh.
So I think the quality of everything just dropped on a pretty sharp gradient.
I think they-
My impression.
I think they could have made a lot of money back on Twilight Watch because people would have been confused. They would have went to like, "Where's all the vampires and werewolves at?"
I mean, they have them, but where's Bella?
There are vampires here, but they don't really do anything.
Where's Edward? Or whatever the fuck his name was.
You could
Why do I
made-
have to read to watch this movie?
But yeah, after that, he did those. He did Wanted, and then he did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
That one I truly hate. That was a horrible movie. I don't care how much money you save. That movie should have been never released.
I mean, I had no expectations, so there was certain elements of it. It was like, this isn't so bad. Still not a good movie.
Well,
This isn't like watching someone shit on a plate, but it's not a good movie either.
well, I mean, Pride and Prejudice Zombies. When I watched that like a month ago, that was actually a lot better. I mean, it
They
wasn't
made that into a movie?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, it's part of the same book series. I can't remember. What the
No,
other-
they're separate, but
I thought it was the same author at least.
no, I think they're different authors.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember, like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, I believe, came out around this because there was like a whole kind of like people were starting to do that. We're starting to take these
Oh.
old books and just kind of rewrite them.
For idiots.
Well, no, because like Pride and Prejudice Zombies, I think it's like almost like it's like 70% of that book is actually the original.
Pride and
Like,
Prejudice.
yeah, but they just kind of like give it a different context to it.
Yeah.
And there was also because like that guy, he went on and did like Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters.
Yes, remember that.
But I think Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter was just kind of the same ilk, but off to the side of. But I don't think it was that guy. I mean, we can look it up. I mean, while Nathan
Well,
talks.
No, because I thought one guy had done like a series of books like that, so I just thought it was lumped in with that. So I knew that was a thing as well, like a whole genre to itself or subgenre. But I couldn't remember some of the other titles. I know there's probably one for everything between werewolves and the Creature in the Black Lagoon, which we'll see if that movie's any good when that remake comes out, considering Scarlett Johansson's going to be the lead in that one. But I don't know. It's.
I had no idea there was another. All right, I didn't understand whether. I'm sorry, Morgan Freeman is in Ben-Hur, so there's one guy I've heard of.
Yeah, one.
They had to spend some money somewhere.
And he looks like his character from Robin Hood.
Oh, he's the Moor. Does he have a big curved sword?
I think so.
Probably.
And he's got dreadlocks.
Yeah, because that was pretty popular. Well, no one did wash their hair. So.
But speaking of movies, I just finally, I mean, the movie's coming out in a couple weeks on DVD, but the movie Warcraft, where I finally like watched because I rented the new Huntsman movie and fell asleep during it because it's such a pile of shit. But they had a trailer for Warcraft in it, and I'm like, I guess I've never seen a trailer for this. Maybe it might. I heard it got horrible reviews. Let's see what the story's about, and then watch the entire trailer. I'm like, yeah, I don't recognize a single one of these people. So I can pretty much tell it's gonna be a horrible movie because as much money as they poured into that, there's not one recognizable face among them.
I think they're hoping the director would sell it. Maybe.
Who was the director?
Duncan Jones. He did Moon and Time Code.
I mean, both movies I hated.
You
it's
didn't like Moon
okay.
or Source Code? Source
Oh.
Code.
No. That's what I'm thinking about. Her as Jake Gyllenhaal, where he's
Yes.
time jumping all
Yeah.
the time or whatever. It was okay. Moon was okay too.
All right.
I mean, I like Sam Rockwell a lot, and I like Moon, but it's just was like, okay, I watched it and I'm done with it. Never watched it again. It's not one of those movies where it's like, this is a classic. I have to own it and watch it. It was just like, okay, I watched it.
What did you think of Oblivion?
I own it.
Okay.
The Tom.
I'm not
Cruise-
saying Oblivion's good. I'm just saying Moon is a similar kind of movie,
Yeah.
and it's better than Oblivion.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Moon had an awesome soundtrack too. It had that real low key kind of piano soundtrack
Yeah.
and kind of that over. I'm trying to remember Moon or Oblivion. That was with Tom Cruise and he was in some kind of pod.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I bought that one more or less just I think it was like $15. I'm like, well, I can either rent it or I can buy it for $15. I just bought it without ever seeing it. So
Okay. All
that's
right.
the reason I own it.
He did write. Okay. The Pride and Prejudice guy did write Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. You're
Yeah.
correct.
That's what I thought it was, but it's like, I don't remember. It's been so long since those books come out. And I never read any of them, so I didn't know. Because I'm the type of guy that would rather read Pride and Prejudice itself before reading Pride and Prejudice Zombies.
And apparently, he did a script polish on the Fantastic Four movie.
Wow,
Okay. Well, these are all ringing endorsements. And then the other movie was the My Little Pony.
Yes, My Little Pony, something. No, there's just I was inspired to be jokey with you and like hey, let's just have Blindside Nathan with shit they definitely would never see and never want to see, because there was this.
Well, yeah, we're sort of discussing like, what if, like somebody has to be like this is their first Ben-Hur, and maybe they think it's awesome.
That could be.
Like they know nothing of the original. And it's like, did you see Ben-Hur?
Yeah, did you see the original where they actually filmed the chariot race scene and somebody died? Like, holy shit, that's much more awesome than fucking CGI chariot race scene.
As I remember, too, the Ben-Hur had an awesome soundtrack.
Yeah, because that was in the days when you paid an orchestra to be.
Ben-Hur is a very unique movie. It's not even shot on normal film. It was called MGM 65 millimeter. It's extra widescreen.
Oh, okay. Is that because didn't the chariot race and some of the scenes, like I know because I know like I have it on disc, and then they like change his aspect on the screen.
Maybe.
Like because it was one of the because it's like because I have the long, narrow, the new kind of TVs, and this still letterboxes on some.
Yeah. That's how wide it is. It'll letterbox on a widescreen TV.
Okay, yeah. I knew there was. I didn't know that particularly, but I knew that there was something about it that was.
Yeah, there's only like 2 films ever shot on MGM 65. So.
Well, because Quentin Tarantino's newest film, the name's not ringing a bell off the top of my head.
Hateful Eight.
Yeah, Hateful Eight. He talked about that. The special features, there's the lens they used for it was like the same one they used for like I think like Cleopatra and like some other like off-brand movies, but you likened it to Ben-Hur as well because it was people shot like widescreen back then, like really widescreen. It doesn't happen a lot anymore.
Yeah.
So use that for that cinematic effect.
Well, there's a lens that some people they don't shoot on much anymore. It's called a spherical lens. It's different from other lenses in that it keeps the foreground and the background in focus at the same time. And so like Sergio Leone, he directed like The Good and the Bad and the Ugly that way. Oh wait, no, was it good? No, it was. No, it was. What was it? Once Upon a Time in the West. He directed that with spherical lenses, and it's a very like interesting movie to watch because it's just like there's like everything is in focus all at once. It's really hard to shoot for, but like it's an interesting way to. So like close-ups are basically like widescreen.
By the way, Hateful Eight, my son's new favorite movie. He's watched it like 20 times. Like, what are you getting out of this movie? He doesn't. I don't know. He just likes it.
Huh?
Like all they're doing is talking, but it's cool. They're saying awful things. It's like, yeah, that's Quentin Tarantino movies.
Just show him Clerks.
Show him that. I don't know. He likes the Samuel Jackson character in it.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like making somebody eat a big black cock out in the middle of a snowstorm?
He thought it was funny that he had this letter from Lincoln, and he was like this war hero, and he's like he just lied to everyone through the whole movie. I was like, yeah, everyone in that whole movie lied to everyone through the whole fucking movie. Kind of the point. He's like, yeah, but he did it the best. I was like, yeah, he's one of the better characters.
He is the best liar.
Yeah.
And that's why he wins with his dick shot off at the end, bleeding to death with that one with Walter Goggins.
Love that fucking movie.
Has anyone seen Vice Principals?
No.
Okay. I saw one episode. I thought it was okay.
I've heard about it.
Has he even seen Inglourious Bastards? It has some pretty fucked up shit in it too. Fucked up dialogue.
Yeah, he likes that. He likes all those Quentin Tarantino movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he likes them.
Is he working his way? He's gonna get his way to Pulp Fiction.
I think he's already seen. I have all those movies, and I think he's seen them all.
Reservoir Dogs
downstairs. Me and him tried to watch that. He didn't care for that one so much. That was about a year ago. He might
care for.
He's ready for Jackie Brown now.
Break him into. Let me show you some of the lesser hits. Some of the B-sides.
It was my best friend's birthday. Where'd you get this? This doesn't exist.
I showed him that scene on YouTube
Oh, from my best friend's birthday.
where it's like, yeah, because how Top Gun was the gayest movie ever.
Oh yeah.
It's like, this is the guy who directed that movie. You like, he's like, oh, that's that weird looking dude. I said, yeah. Listen to this whole scene. And
Yeah, that was technically Quentin Tarantino's first movie, but like I think half of it got burned up in a fire. So
Yeah.
the only thing that like it still exists is you can find the scene on YouTube where he's just like saying how Top Gun is the gayest movie in the world.
he's making some good points too.
Yeah, I'm fine with that assertion because I rewatched Top Gun like a year ago. I'm like, why do people like this movie? And it's my father-in-law's like favorite movie you talk trash about. You're fucking Gilly, probably. So it's
And there's a reason we haven't done it for our like best of '80s thing because that movie doesn't really hold up very well.
no, it does not hold up at all. It is not.
But like as a kid, I know like why I like that movie because planes are cool.
I think I would rather replay the NES Top Gun video game than watch that movie again. And that game was pretty shitty too.
That was all right.
I mean, I guess for the time, yeah, it was.
I mean, you just like hold left or right, and then you fired some missiles, and that was kind of cool. And then you have the landing sequence, which was either infuriating or cool.
But those,
How old was Tom Cruise when he did that movie?
Like 19 or some shit.
I thought they were doing a fucking sequel now.
Yeah, I've heard that, but
I mean, I don't know how the fuck that would work, considering I don't think we really have any fighter-based warfare anymore. Like,
no, we
is
do.
Top Gun 2 gonna be him in a fucking cargo container flying a drone? Like, die, terrorist!
No, I mean the Navy's still active and having pilots and shit like
Yeah,
that.
F-18s are still amazing aircraft.
No, I know. I didn't say we didn't have any aircraft. I'm just saying there's not a lot of dogfighting potential
Oh
in
no,
combat zones anymore. So, and that
No,
was the whole
yeah,
movie's based upon.
No,
was the
yeah.
tension of going into combat zones and dogfighting, and that doesn't really exist. that
well, I
much
mean, you could
anymore.
just create a conflict, like
Well, yeah, you could be like a war with Russia.
well, you don't even have to do that. You can just be like some like Arab prince bought a bunch of military equipment from Russia, and like he's going crazy or whatever.
That was a Tony Scott joint.
Yeah, that was his first movie.
Huh? That's a
Well,
good,
not his first movie, but his first like big movie.
successful movie.
Yeah, because like they made that movie for like $5 million because it was all just like, hey, can we just shoot you guys training in these cool airplanes?
Yeah.
And then we'll just build a story around it. And they're like, okay, as long as the story doesn't have any like meaningful political connotations. All right, cool.
As long as it portrays us in a positive light, makes the bad people, i.e., the communists, look bad. And like the main planes they were flying in these movies, they don't even fly them anymore.
No, because they're terrible, but they look cool.
It was a good idea.
Well, they've been resurrecting some of the older ones for combat patrol and training duty just because they're running out of airplanes.
They won't resurrect the Tomcats.
Yeah, it's just too
Yeah.
expensive.
Horribly expensive. And I guess they broke a lot too.
Well, yeah, because that whole like the one guy I talked about in the book is like when you make a swing wing airplane, like the part where the swing wing happens, like, well, that's the critical failure point of all your aircraft.
That hinge is where it always fails.
They also like they weren't very aerodynamically built, so they threw like giant engines on it, so they just suck fuel like a fucking vampire.
Yeah, they're just designed to force themselves through the air,
Yeah, pretty much.
floating on hate.
The flying boulder.
Well, I mean, that's why they like advertise like, hey, it can engage like up to 15 enemies from 5 miles away. It's like, oh, that's amazing. But like, they don't tell you, it's like, hey, we can't just shoot at things on the radar from 5 miles away without verifying what we're shooting at.
That gets messy, especially when it's allies.
Because that's the reason they built the F-16 is like the way it is. Like, it's not the fastest plane we have, but they figured like, they learned like what your actual engagement speed is, and they built this plane to be the most maneuverable at that engagement speed.
Yeah.
That's why like nothing can turn at a tighter radius than an F-16 fighter, and it's why it still wins against modern airplanes and dogfights.
That we still feel the need to pump billions of dollars into new programs. prototypes.
Well, those are it keeps a lot of people employed.
No, I know that, but at the same time, I think we've had the discussion before on the program. But at the same
Yeah.
time,
Well, I mean, you have to. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you look at like what they're trying to do with like, yeah, that sounds amazing, and then you just realize like 10 years from now, it's just like, hey, what's the critical failure point of this aircraft? Like the human being that's bound by physics. Let's take them out of the aircraft.
Biggest weak point here that there's a fleshy body inside only handle like 3 or 4 times the speed of or the pressure of gravity before it passes out. What can we do about that? Well, we can digitize their personality put it in a computer, or we can just make, and imagine the cool looking planes they could make if it weren't built around a pilot. Like have just literally like a triangle that just doesn't really need a whole lot. Can it do a turn at Mach 10? Yes. Can it flip around in midair and shoot behind it? Yes. Yes.
like I said before, who wants to see a Top Gun movie where the plane flies and does all the cool stuff? The guy's on the ground with the joystick going pew pew pew. Like,
I don't know. You saw, was it Good Kill?
Yeah. No, that was a good movie, but it wasn't a good movie just because of the drone pilot. It was a good movie because of the statement it made, his PTSD from being on an air base in like fucking Oklahoma or no, it was like Nevada. But being on an air base in a shipping container in Nevada that was air conditioned, having PTSD from killing people every day from drone strikes, like that was the good part of that movie, and it was well acted, well put together. But it was like no
British version of that.
Oh, the one with
Eye in the Sky.
Yeah.
Oh, was that came before, or are they just simultaneous or something?
I think they came out at the same time.
Oh, okay.
I think they're a little different. Eye in the Sky is a lot more like global politics, and because it's Americans operate the drones, but the British are using them, and they have their intelligence people have found a target, but there's little kids playing next to the house, and there's this whole thing about, and there's a guy putting a suicide vest on in the house and doing his goodbye video they do, and it's like, we gotta fucking do this. And in the end, I'll spoil it for everyone, the kid gets killed, but it's a lot of like arguing back and forth about, is this right? And it's like, well, yeah, we could kill one person, or he could go into a marketplace and kill 50, and it's all the arguments.
Well, no, I mean, there's a similar scene in Good Kill where they literally, I mean, it ties into the same thing where I don't think it has any of the British aspect, like the global political impact, but it has just the high ranking, like, oh, this is the CIA, we're going to tell you who to bomb and who to hit and where. And so, like, the beginning of the movie, they're just doing regular, just one hit strikes, and they just fly off, and they refuel or whatever and go back. But then they start doing like, okay, we'll bomb them. Okay, fly over, wait 60 minutes, wait for somebody to show up and bomb them again. Or we bomb them, we follow their dead bodies in the caskets to the funeral, and then we bomb the funeral. And that's all in the same scene. And like, is everybody at the funeral? Like, yep, everybody showed up. Bomb. And it's like, wow, that's pretty fucking, like, nobody even said anything about it. Like, oh, okay.
That seems like some CIA shit.
Yeah.
That sounds about like it's catching the right beat.
I remember in Charlie Wilson's War, that one guy who was like a CIA guy during Vietnam, and like he used to make these typewriters with bombs in them because the Viet Cong would take typewriters to like help like send out propaganda, and then like he like follow them like back to their base. It's like, it's in the base, blow it up.
No, I mean that's smart. I mean, if the only way you can get somebody to come out of hiding is like, oh, this guy's dead, so he'll come because he's like the leader of the local militia or whatever. Like he'll come to the funeral or wedding or whatever. Then it doesn't matter if there's 90 innocent people there. We gotta kill that one guy. So he just bomb it like, and then like they didn't even film the next part because they were like, okay, when's the next funeral? And then they like cut it. It's like, wow. It was like, I can see why he has a drink.
Bombing funerals.
Bombing funerals is really a force multiplier for us. We get 1, then we get 10, and then that's 10 more funerals, and fuck, we're gonna need more drones.
I mean, if it pushes you to the breaking point, like his character in the movie, like they're doing an Overwatch, like trying to find the intel on where this one like tribal leader's at or whatever, and they can never find it, but they're always flying around this one town, so they witness a rape of this one woman by this one guy multiple times. They know he's gonna rape her again, and so he watches her get raped again. Then he's just like, "Fuck it, I've had enough of this job." So he bombs the guy that just raped her or whatever, and then he just like locks the door and then he fucking runs out and quits or whatever after that. Like, yeah, I did one good thing. I killed a rapist with a drone or whatever. And it was like, so yeah, I like that movie. It was not it was not an uplifting movie, but it was a good movie.
Yeah, Eye in the Sky. Interestingly, it was the last movie Alan Rickman was in.
Oh, really?
He played the RAF general, because it was weird because it took place in 3 places. There was a meeting room in London where it was the defense minister of the UK, and then it was Creech Air Force Base somewhere in America, and then it was in Kenya, and those were the 3 places. And because they were using, they have a real weird system. It's not as we find out in the movie, it's not as straightforward in America. Because in America, everything like that goes to the president and he signs it, and then it's legitimate to do. But in England, you have to like justify it and give yourself a legal framework. So all these people are sitting in a room trying to figure out, should we do this? Should we do this? And they all agree that they can do it. And then everyone's trying to hedge their bets. It's like, if this fucks up, how can I minimize my risk? And
This seems like conspiracy.
yeah, it's really because there's all these circular debates about, because you're just killing people in other countries. When you boil it down, it's like, yeah, we're just indiscriminately killing people in other countries. Well, not indiscriminately, but we're killing people in other countries from the sky. And the lady who's the American sitting at the table is like, yeah, just do it. The guy signs a paper. It's okay. There's no legal ramifications. It's like, well, that's not how we do things here. And she makes some comment about, it's like, yeah, you've had a lot of terrorist attacks here recently too. And so it kind of bounces around. It's like, it's a very wordy, talky movie, but it's kind of interesting. I mean, Helen Mirren's in it. She's a
Isn't she like a commander or something?
RAF colonel.
Yeah. I saw an Army Fatigues in the trailer, and I didn't I knew about that movie. I just kind of forgot about it till now, so I might have to rent that and look at it, see if it's good.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's interesting. There's a lot of talking. There's a lot of like, how do we justify what we're doing? And it's like, oh, we're bad people, but then you see the guy putting the vest on. It's like, oh yeah, they're bad people too. Because one of them was an American citizen, and the rest of them were UK nationals. Because they brought the woman in, is just like, is it okay if we kill an American? Yeah, if he's a terrorist, kill him. You know, it was like they made the Americans look like, just kill everyone, just kill him. Killing.
Kill them all. Let God sort them out.
Talking about this for.
Just turn the video camera the other way so we can't. So you have legal, like objectivity. Like, we didn't know what happened.
Well, that's one of the things they do is they have a computer programmer that works under. They do I forget what they called it, but basically like a blast radius. It's like, can we not kill the kid if we shoot the missile in here, but kill everyone in the house? And he's like, yeah, there's only like a 60% chance she'll die. And she's like, you need to make that like 10% for me. And he's like, it's just physics, if the bomb goes off here. And she's like, we need to massage this a little bit, make it look so there's a lot. Like I said, in the end, the girl ends up getting killed. But it's it's one of those dark, kind of weird movies about the war we're fighting today.
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be quite a few, movies like that where it does not have a good tone for, we're just basically going over there and fucking up people's lives and not really getting anything out of it.
Yeah, but you got to look at who's making and writing those movies too. I mean, there's a lot of that kind of analysis that it's like, this isn't good. Is like, okay, what's your alternative? We need to save the planet. It's like, oh, okay, I see. That's
well, it's not so much that. I'm just saying, like, there's not a good.
Oh, it's just different now because now, it's just videotaped. Now there's a constant video feed of this stuff, and you can make quicker decisions. Like then, in the Gulf War days, it's like, here's black and white footage of this bomb we dropped. Like, isn't it awesome? Like, it was right on target. And but then there was like no follow up or any kind of what was going on there, why there was no need for justification. It's like awesome video games.
I remember they were joking about those missiles because they'd show the ones with the cameras on them. And this was in the Gulf War, like when I was in high school or before I even graduated high school, like 91. And they're showing the missile like in black and white grainy film, like it went right into the air duct. That's awesome. You know, Saturday Night Live, they were doing this joke where, remember they had, what was it? It was the Candygram, and you opened the door and a shark jumped on you. That was from the 70s. Well, they had a new one, and it just knocked on the door, and it was like smart bomb. And nobody is like, these guys dressed up like, Saddam Hussein. It's like, nobody makes a bomb like that. They open up the door and it explodes. And, that was now it's like real time.
And like before that, it's like you didn't have, Vietnam, you had people like, here's the horrors of war. And then before that, it's like World War II, it's like you just fire all the artillery you want. And like no one's going to follow up on it and report back on it.
Or they're really ambivalent in their reporting.
Yeah.
Like when we bombed, when we firebombed a lot of those cities, no one was really there on the scene to report.
Yeah.
But like when we bombed like Monte Cassino and stuff, like there was film that was like, we knew we were destroying one of the great cathedrals of Europe, but it's like, well, they're using it as, you want to try to, lose 500 men trying to take that thing. Fuck that. We're just going to shell that place. And, but yeah, there was some introspection about it, but I mean, they're talking about a war where millions of people were dying.
Yeah.
So it kind of loses focus. Like, oh well, that's because didn't Stalin have some saying like, the first 500 or what was it? After the first million, it's just numbers, or he had something like that. Like it doesn't.
That seems like Stalin.
Yeah. This is deep.
That's just statistics.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just perspective on wars, how it's changed now. How people can put so much value in one life when you compared it to like them, where it was like a lot of lives were affected.
Yeah.
Millions. And like, we're not even near that kind of like death toll anymore.
Weirdly though, I think it was the Korean War, maybe World War II, was the last war fought with our full potential. It's like now it's really measured and reduced because we have nuclear weapons in our arsenal. Like our potential to kill people, like we could surpass World War II in a day now. I mean, it would be catastrophic, but it's like, but in World War II until the end, they were fighting to their maximum killing potential. I mean, they weren't using nerve gas or blistering agents anymore, but that's because it was just too costly to defend against that. And they kind of signed a bunch of treaties saying they wouldn't, but it's like, now it's like, this is pretty tame compared to what's available. Especially with nuclear weapons, but that's, speaking of nuclear weapons, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I lost you guys.
Just a pause in the show. Natural pause.
Natural pause for radio.
Nuclear weapons, natural pause.
Speaking of nuclear weapons, interesting intelligence release this Friday, as a matter of fact. You guys are familiar with DEF CON, right?
Yeah.
What's our current DEF CON? What are we at? Con?
Got to be 5, right?
I guess currently, but it's 5 through 1. DEF CON 5 is like, yeah, okay. I checked because they publish it on the internet. We're at a normal state of readiness. So that's called fade out. And then DEF CON 4, which is codenamed Double Take, which is increased intelligence and strengthened security. And then you have DEF CON 3, which is called Roundhouse. That's like we're getting ready for war. And then you have DEF CON 2, which is called Fast Pace, which they changed that. It used to be called Snap Count.
Oh, okay, Snap Count.
Yeah, and then that's like we're on the verge of nuclear war, and then you have DEF CON 1, which is cock pistol, and that means it's World War III.
I don't think that's cocked pistol. That's fired pistol. Like, yeah.
Well,
Well,
even
there'll be no DEFCON 0. So DEFCON 1's cocked pistol and DEFCON 0 is the implied shot.
yeah, because DEFCON 1 does not necessarily mean that release of all weapons is imminent, but it means they're damn close. We've never gotten that far. Highest state of alert we've ever reached in the real world that's known is DEFCON 3. And it happened 3 times in our history. Once during the Cuban Missile Crisis, once during the 1970s, which until recently it wasn't known why that happened. And then the last time we were on DEFCON 3 was 9/11. It lasted exactly 48 hours. The DEFCON 3 we went to in Cuban Missile Crisis was a week, and the DEFCON 3 we went to in 1970 was like, 1973 was like 24 hours. But that's kind of a mysterious one because they didn't really know exactly what. They knew it had something to do with the Yom Kippur War, but they weren't sure why we changed our readiness until Friday. The CIA released for the first time in history what they call the Presidential Daily Briefs. And these were this is the intelligence brief. Remember they were talking a few weeks ago about how's Trump going to react because he's going to start getting these now. Because it's basically like a newspaper of everything going on in the world from the point of view of the CIA and how it affects America. These have never been released to the public before, and they were heavily resistant to it. But now they can talk about things that happened 40 years ago. It's interesting though. All these briefs they released, still about 60% of them are just that blacked out, redacted copy. So they're still, even though it was a full release, there was still a lot of stuff held back. But they said they mainly blacked out terms and concepts and weapon systems that they still use. So that's what they tell us. But anyway, 1973, remember, we were in the midst of Watergate. And in that year, in the 1st of October, Syria and Egypt invaded Israel with the intention of wiping them off the face of the earth. And they did it on the Yom Kippur holiday, which is a big Jewish holiday. I don't know much more about it than that. But I know that even though the CIA Daily Brief did not predict this invasion, they gave Nixon and Kissinger the intelligence brief, basically saying that the Soviets are moving troops into the Suez region, because at that time, the end of October, the Israelis had the Egyptians surrounded at Suez, and they said the Russians are getting ready to land troops and help the Egyptians, and one of the ships they're sending is carrying nuclear weapons. And this is going on, I think this was like a week or two before Nixon fired the guy who was investigating him. Remember that? When he appointed the special counsel to investigate the Watergate hearing, the lawyer, and then fired him. So this was when all that chaos was going on. And the decision to jump from DEFCON 5 to DEFCON 3 was to show the Russians we were still serious, and despite everything going on in America, we're still going to stand behind our allies. And jumping to DEFCON 3 was considered, like by today's analysis, insanely aggressive. It's in the midst of the Cold War, and you're basically telling all your forces around the world to go to a state of readiness 2 points below World War III. And the Russians reacted to this, not officially, but they pulled all their ships out of that part of the world, including the one that was supposedly carrying nuclear weapons, as soon as they detected this change in American posture. So apparently this worked, even though in retrospect it was probably considered super aggressive and maybe dangerous even. But that was Nixon. He had the madman theory. Of course, if you act crazy enough, they won't second guess you because they don't know what you might do. So I thought that was interesting. That's a free lesson for today.
So Trump 2016.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, if you want to see more of this,
you want to see how long DEFCON 3 can go on. He's going for the record.
Yeah, this will extend to.
He'll do DEFCON 3 if he loses his kitty cat. He's not gonna care.
Yeah, that was some new information though.
No,
Some
sorry.
new,
as soon as
slightly
you said-
redacted information.
Sorry, no. As soon as you said like Nixon's crazy guy theory, you don't know what you'll do. So, I mean, I was gonna actually say something to that effect too before you mentioned that because I was like, well, that's what happens sometimes if you think you can play to strength, and that's gonna make somebody else back off because they don't want to, test your strength or, try and go mano a mano or whatever. Then,
Well, that's why they were so scared of Reagan,
Yeah.
because they thought he was like super religious and everything, the way he talked, and they're like, he thinks God wants him to destroy us.
He's bringing God into the equation. That's tough. That's tough to argue logic. God up into everything.
I'm more scared of the guy that thinks he's the smartest person in the room and thinks he's the best thing that ever happened to the world more than I'm scared of the ultra religious guy. But I don't know.
Well, that's what you get. What you've just described as anyone who wants to be president.
Yeah,
That's always going to be that guy, no matter who he is, because the kind of ego it takes to want to be president of the United States is absolutely. I mean, you think like these sports guys have huge egos. Holy shit. You should see some of these president guys, that candidates and the actual presidents. Some of them have huge, giant, unbelievable egos. But that's kind of what you want. You don't want a meek president. You don't want like a Calvin Coolidge. It's like, what do you have to say? Nothing. Please don't take my picture.
Nobody wants Jimmy Carter again. The unfortunate thing, and Jimmy Carter actually was the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter was smart, but he's not what I call meek. Because people that have argued with Jimmy Carter have found out pretty quickly. It's like, oh, he's not like your nice old grandpa. He could be a son of a bitch when he wants to be.
more of a measured response person.
Yeah, it's definitely not a. Yeah, Jimmy Carter wasn't someone who appealed to a lot of emotionalism and crazy. Like that was Reagan's magic. Was like he just made people believe in the dream of America. Future's gonna be better. We're the shining city on the hill. It's like he said all these things. Everyone was like, "How with your economic program? How's this gonna work?" It's like we're America. We can do it, And people wanted to believe it because. The other choice was like, yeah, turn your air conditioners off and suffer and pay $5 for a gallon of gas. It's like, well, fuck, who wants that? I'm with Reagan.
I listened to Smodcast for the first time in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a whole episode basically about government cheese. That was kind of interesting.
Oh, really?
And he just ended up reading an article from Vice about government cheese and everything. Because I missed the whole government cheese thing because we were never really
we were never
really that poor.
Yeah.
At that time.
We were never poor.
Oh, we were poor. Well,
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't
at
ever
some point I lived in someone else's grandparents' basement at some point.
I never had that experience. Failed before that started.
Explain government cheese because we were talking just like government food banks or what?
Yeah, it was kind of, but I like what comes to it was reading. It was like it was like the milk prices. They were trying to keep them steady, so the government was just buying a bunch of milk, which in turn made it that they were buying a bunch of cheese. And then so they just had all this cheese laying around that was going to go bad, so they started to just give away the cheese. It's mostly to like low-income people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was just a brick of cheese because they were just using it for like to feed government employees and everything like that, like soldiers and stuff like that, and probably prisons too. And so it just says on the big cheese block, it just is like U.S. government. So it's government cheese.
No, because I always heard that kind of thing with like schools since they're government, funded or run or whatever. So,
yeah.
So it's like, oh, government peanut butter, government cheese, but I didn't know if there was something more to than that. So that's why I didn't really know what you meant totally by government cheese. But I didn't.
No, this was some anomaly that came out of the early '80s, where they were just like it was basically like show up for your 5 pounds of cheese. It was weird. And it was kind of emblematic of the times because in the early 80s it was a horrible recession. And so it became like, oh, this is how Reagan's going to help us. He's going to give us a block of cheese. which is also processed cheese, by the way. This isn't like good stuff.
Yeah, this is basically just some American single cheese, but on a block of it, like almost
And
Velveeta.
And I heavily criticize the people in my head that buy that kind of shit at work because literally we have cheese sprinkled throughout the warehouse and there's only like 1 or 2 boxes of it. Even says on there E and then Z, easy imitation cheese. And it's like, how much does this shit really cost compared to the bag right next to it where it's like literally actual cheese? Like, it's like there's this discernible taste difference, I can tell you that, but it's like, what's the cost differential? You can't spring another $1 for a bag of real cheese instead of fake chemicals with yellow dye in it and stuff. Like,
I don't know, you know, maybe the real cheese has a volatile market to it. And the
yes,
chemicals are more steady, and so the price never changes.
true. I guess the government doesn't subsidize chemical markets as much as do agricultural ones. So
Well, they don't do this anymore. It's like I think this program died like in, I think it said 1991 or something like that.
Yeah, things like SNAP and food stamps and stuff. They wanted to come up with something more balanced.
Yeah. Well, also, like, they did some study, and it was something like there was like a lot of like non-white people were actually super like lactose intolerant towards cheese. So like it's like cheese is the best thing to just give all poor people.
Right.
not bread or milk or.
Well, that's even worse.
Well, no, because I remember there was this when I worked for my last employer. They had this stupid slideshow from like, this is when the company started, like 1974 or 5 or whatever. So they had like all these prices of shit on there, like, oh, this is a loaf of bread, this is a house, this is a fucking Corvette, all this other stupid shit. And they got to milk, and it's like, wow, fucking milk has not like changed at all. It's still about the same fucking price per gallon. That's pretty fucking weird. Like bread used to be like 20 goddamn cents, and now it's like $3, and milk was like $2, and now it's like $2.50 or $2.60. So it's like, why the fuck hasn't milk changed that much in like 40 years?
There's huge government because of what almost happened during the Depression.
Yeah.
That's why food is so weird in America. It's because they always wonder. It's like, well, why are the French not as grossly obese as we are? It's like, well, you don't have. We put the same effort into making food that we did in manufacturing cars and steel. We put the same amount of thought into it, and just everything is a product. There's no quality to anything, and that's one of the many things that's fucked us. That and we don't smoke enough in this country.
Yeah, I did explain that to somebody the other day because they are talking about like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm gonna gain weight or whatever because I ate like 2 or whatever or something today. I'm like, well, you smoke, don't you? He was like, yeah, I smoke a pack a day. I'm like, see, you burn Big Mac every day, just fucking smoking. Like, really? Like, yeah, that's all the new medical studies. Like, you burn way more calories if you smoke because you're trying to burn out all that tar and shit from your fucking lungs.
Huh.
And so if you don't smoke, then you don't burn that extra Big Mac of calories. So you can actually eat more when you're fucking smoking, even though you probably don't exercise and shit. Because that's why people gain weight when they stop smoking. It's not because they like, oh, I got more cravings for food now or some shit.
Well, yeah, because I thought that was the thing. Like smoking is also an appetite.
Yeah, no, it
depressant.
is that too. Nicotine does suppress appetite, so it's combined between the caloric burn from trying to burn all the fresh tar and shit off your lungs and metabolize all that stuff, even though it's not, even though you can't metabolize it.
Remember, kids, smoking for your health.
I should start smoking.
It's a good weight loss program. You don't eat as much, you'll burn more calories. It's like,
Considering a pack of cigarettes around here is like $9 now, I don't think I'm ever going to start smoking again.
I know. I was just kidding. Just being a dick, but at the same time. But no, it's
Andrew's story of encouraging smoking in adults.
That's why I should have asked my doctor the last time he told me to go back to physical therapy. It's like, I just start smoking and I lose weight that way. Come on. Like, it's a pretty good plan.
Yeah, it is a weird thing. Hard to know what's the right choice is.
You know, I mean, there's
Anyways, Top Gun 2. I think this is where we started this whole conversation.
Tom Cruise be in that?
Yeah.
I mean, what would it be without him?
How old is he now?
Still bad.
He's like 50 something.
mean, shit, he's
I
gonna
think
be
he's
in
like
the new Mummy movie
55.
for no reason. So why not?
Because he turned 50 when he did that first Jack Reacher movie.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, the second one comes out soon, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I keep forgetting about that more or less because I can't see why anybody would want to see the second one because it doesn't look.
Which
good.
one was good?
No, the first one was good. That's why I don't really. I've read enough of the books to know that like that plot they have for this movie doesn't really line up with the books that well.
Oh.
I mean,
I've only read the one book.
it
so.
does because it's military theme, but like all the other books, like he's always just kind of wondering and either happens upon something or somebody from his past or somebody that he's involved with now finds him and gets him to work on a case. It's never some vast military conspiracy against one person he's trying to work out. So I mean, I haven't read all the books. I think there's probably like 8 or 9 I haven't read, but I have yet to come across that storyline. So to me, it doesn't mesh with the character of the book.
I'm just more worried because they don't have the same director. So.
I like Jack Reacher because they had Werner Herzog in it. That was my face. Like, holy shit. Oh, they actually got that guy to. That's an interesting role.
You will not chew off your hands for your life.
He's a great bad guy and just a weirdo.
Yeah.
Well, we watched a movie.
Yes.
Yes, Ben-Hur, wonderful.
I was going to talk about the ponies. No, we watched.
Which one's your favorite? Sparkle?
I didn't even know.
I don't.
There's an acid band called Sparkle Horse. That from like my weirdo 90s music. Is there a Sparkle Horse like a?
I don't know. I was just making up a.
I mean, there's probably a horse that sparkles.
Yeah, I was just making up a whimsical girly pony name.
But it
There's,
doesn't have.
there's probably one named Ruby.
There's probably one named Jizzbag Gutter Slut or something. So I
But
don't
they don't have one that has like dark social subcontext to her.
There are
Maybe.
surprisingly there are ones with like emo makeup on almost, where they have like a lot of eyeliner and weird.
Well, they know their audience.
like I don't know why that
30-year-old
is.
men.
Yeah. I'm gonna masturbate to this and then criticize it later. Let's go.
Remember, first masturbation, then criticism.
Turn your self-loathing into hatred of others. People really jerk off to My Little Pony.
Probably.
Is that possible?
Really?
Yes.
There's people already jerk off to just anime.
What won't someone jerk off to?
There's just, I mean, I know there's like extreme, like there's people that poop on each other. I know that there's that kind of extreme stuff out there, but
There's people that dress up like
There's the internet,
Dolls.
Nathan. If one person does it, then 2 people will do it. Not everybody will do it, but people are doing it.
I watched a documentary that was literally about a community of like 20,000 people worldwide that like to dress up like real dolls and have sex with people. I'm pretty sure there's probably at least one
Dress
guy.
up like real dolls.
Yes, dress up like a latex doll and fuck people.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
you mean
It's a
the
huge
doll
thing.
you buy?
Yeah,
The-
it's a huge thing in America. It's a huge thing in America and in Europe, in Germany specifically. Supposedly, according to this documentary, it's on
You
Netflix.
pretend to be a doll.
Yes, you dress up and look like a real doll, or like a blow up like latex doll, and then you either have sex with somebody or masturbate or whatever, do something sexual.
Weirdest thing.
It was the creepiest fucking 5 minutes of my life because these
Like
people
no facial expressions, just people.
Yes, it was just fucking. It was the creepiest fucking.
His
thing
mouth
I've ever
wide
seen.
open.
Oh my god!
And it was like these
Going to hell.
60-year-old like white guys doing it, where it's like, yeah, this is really freeing, and I really, it's like, okay,
Man, that's some what do you call that? What's that generation?
baby boomers.
The baby boomers getting back at their hippie
Fuck you, mom and dad. I'm a latex doll.
So if there's like 20 or 30,000 of those people in the world, I'm pretty sure there's at least one guy that's jacked off to My Little Ponies.
I'm gonna guarantee
Yeah, I guarantee.
there's more
There's
than
probably
one.
one guy that's jacked off to Charlie Brown's Christmas special.
Oh yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, kick that football.
I don't know if intentionally, but or because of it, but it was on.
I'm sorry to go there.
And then he's like,
Edgar.
you know what? Just go with it. Nothing stops the masturbation session.
You know, Pigpen kind of does it.
You Lucy.
I'm not a blockhead. I'll give you a blockhead.
Blockhead right here.
I mean, between that and people dressing up like animals or like furries, which has been around, it was a well-known thing for a while, and use panties and vending machines.
That's a completely fascinating thing to me. That whole thing is like, that's amazing. The amount of time and energy that goes into. It's just like a lifestyle. It's like, this is the weirdest fucking shit I've ever seen. Who does this?
It's why CSI makes every one of those fetishes a murder mystery every week.
Oh, okay.
What fetish killed someone this week?
Well, that's something that's like, it's like, it's not just a fetish. It's a weird, it's like, I want to live in this fantasy world where I'm a dog, or, it's like a whole thing. Really weird. And it goes beyond like, because some people like to dress up in costumes, but this is like 9 layers of something.
Well, like they had
I
that
watched
one.
a Vice thing on it once. I was like, oh, that's really weird.
You remember the Prefect where you had that one district that was just like all fantasy?
Yeah, yeah.
People were pandas and they were having gladiatorial combat and just everyone was just having sex with each other.
Right.
Nobody was really a human being because like in this district that just everybody was just whatever they wanted to be because of science.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the internet.
Oh,
I
the
mean,
Prefect 2 is going to be coming out later this year, by the way.
Really?
Yep, they're the Prefect 2.
Does he do like direct sequels like that?
I think he does now.
Because
Well, he's doing,
isn't that universe like isn't like every book like 10,000 years in between?
No, not 10,000. Well, when you got to the end of the Revelation space arc, yeah, they were telling stories in those time frames because of time dilation, because they were traveling near the speed of light, so they were screwing around with that. But no, the stories of the Glitter Band before it became the Rust Belt, yeah, there's actually a lot of territory to mine there.
Oh.
But I heard there's a sequel to the Prefect. Revenger's coming out next month.
Yeah, I saw you put that up on Facebook.
Yeah, that's actually going to be young adult science fiction, but the pre-reviews I've read of it say it's pretty good. It's kind of his foray into that too.
Well, it's like space pirates.
Yeah, well, it's like how's this? It's like it's thousands and thousands of years in the future, but it's basically people looting because like many waves of human government systems have risen and fallen, and these people are like, they kind of mine through the past because they're sort of in a dark ages. So if you can find like old technology and stuff,
Yeah.
that's kind of what the story is. But it's basically 2 teenage girls and their space adventure, so it's not quite as dark as some of his other stuff. But yeah, he tries different things. He did a steampunk novel, which was actually pretty cool. It was really hard to follow, but if you read it a few times, it was like, oh, this is good. That was called Terminal World.
But you should read the Prefect. It's a pretty interesting book.
Yeah, I love the Prefect. That's probably one of my favorite, except for Chasm City. It's probably my favorite Revelation space novel.
Alastair Reynolds.
Yeah, actually an astrophysicist.
Not a meaning to go back to the public library at some point, but always I got
like,
too much shit on my plate half the time. So
well, it's really should, if you want to kind of get back into science fiction, there's really 2 you should read right now. Prefect, but before that, I'd probably recommend Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
By Richard K. Morgan.
Yeah, who's fighting with his fans all the time. When's the next Takashi Kovacs novel coming out? Never stop asking. Fuck. So it'll be out next year.
Shit, somebody bought that series. They're gonna make like a series. Was that Netflix that did that? I can't remember.
Well, it was Altered Carbon was option for a movie, but it's never come to fruition.
Somebody bought it for a series, like 10 episode pickup, and I can't remember who bought it. I think it was Netflix, but I can't remember.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, but at this point, doesn't Netflix just have a bunch of properties they probably picked up just to have an option at some point to make it because they've made.
I don't
so much
know, I
stuff
mean,
now that
Amazon's like once when they agree to something, they really agree to it. It's like
well, I know I've
they
seen,
don't option like, hey, why don't you shoot a pilot? It's like, hey, why don't you shoot a season?
Oh, I've seen the new Prime offerings, and I can't say any of them seem appealing. Like the new Tick one might be okay. I haven't watched it yet. But like the
I
Jean-Claude-
could see that.
The Jean-Claude Van Damme thing seems fucking confusing as shit.
I could see that one too. I can see that one's weird, but also I didn't see JCVD, so that might be there might be something shared there with like the style. But
I mean, between I Love Dick, the Tick, and Jean-Claude Van Smith, and it's like,
Johnson.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry. Or yeah,
Jean-Claude Van
for
Johnson.
some reason. But anyway, Jean-Claude Van Johnson. I'm sorry. But anyway, like I read the synopsis of all three of them. It's like none of these make sense except the Tick because I know what the fucking Tick is. And so like I don't even know what the Jean-Claude Van Damme one.
I saw them all. I saw all three.
Okay. That even
Do you want me to
makes
explain it?
sense. Yeah. Sure.
Did you see him? Because I talked about him last time, but I don't know if you saw him yet.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I haven't a chance to yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Tick's a Tick. It's a bit more serious this time around. Jean-Claude Van Johnson is basically like, you know, that lull in Jean-Claude Van Damme's career where he really wasn't doing anything. Well, here they kind of surmise that he just became like a spy, like a third party spy agent, and went around and he would take on small roles in movie films, and that was his cover while he was this secret agent called Johnson.
I read the synopsis and I didn't get it the first time. I should have read it.
It's
again.
weird. It's funny though. It's fucking stupid, but there's like a great there's a intentionally stupid part you might like where he's like he goes and shoots his movie somewhere because that's where the job is. They're trying to stop somebody's trying to hire him to like stop some drug from getting out. And so he's shooting a movie and he's like he's in this log cabin and he's like talking with this woman and she's like all like kind of breathy. He's like, Don't go, Tom. And he's like, I have to. And he like puts on like this like coverall things and like, I have to go out there and fight him, Huck. And it's like, I'm sorry, Huck Finn. And like Huck's like a sexy lady. And then
oddly enough, it is kind of reminiscent of one of his movies where he's wearing flannel and fighting like farmers in the country or whatever. I can't remember the name of the movie, but there's a clip I saw at one point. But yeah, it seems like it might be interesting, but it's something where it's like, I only have so much time in the day.
That one's only half hour. Tick's only half hour. I Love Dick, I think, is an hour, but it's not really worth it.
Yeah, I saw it was Kevin Bacon. I didn't really get the premise and didn't care for it.
I didn't care for it. I like Catherine Hahn, but like she's not really likable in this. Nobody's likable in it. And by the end of it, like I don't care.
It's like, why the fuck do I care about anybody in this when nobody's likable? Because who the hell wants to watch?
Because she's married, and then she's like, it's like you kind of like, she like writes his diary about how she's falling in love with Dick, and
then Kevin Bacon's her husband, right, or whatever.
No, Kevin Bacon's Dick. She's like an independent like director. She like directs like indie movies and stuff like that. Her husband is a writer, and Dick is like just some sort of like magnate, and so he's supposed to help out her husband with the writing project because the husband thinks he's gonna crack. He thinks he has a new take on the Holocaust. He's gonna crack this one.
Jesus. New take on the Holocaust.
Yeah.
I wonder what the fucking take would be.
Well, that's why he needs Dick.
That sounds fucking horrible. Or you take on the Holocaust. Okay.
You need Dick to take on the Holocaust. But yeah, it's not very good.
Well, it's just like every time I watch Hulu, they have like it seems like about every year they have another fucking series that comes out about horrible people that are just assholes to everybody, and it's a wildly popular show. There's like Difficult People, the newer one with like a British guy as the lead in it. Like the woman that just died on Orange is the new the smaller black woman. She's in it too.
Oh.
It's like a psychiatrist or whatever. But it was like, yeah, I remember when like Always Sunny in Philadelphia was like a groundbreaking show for like, yeah, all these people are like, you hate them. like they're just really not likable people, but they're funny. And now like almost every show is like that.
Yeah,
It's weird.
I don't. Well, go back and watch Seinfeld.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why, like, I can't. I used to love Seinfeld, but I can't watch it anymore because, like, these people are horrible.
Just too cool for the room.
Yeah, I
Well, it's like that. They're like, who really like? I know it's the internet, and we have a show where we complain about things, but like, they like Jerry would like date some girl, and like she'd have like some little thing with her nose, like, oh, she's a horrible person because that thing with her nose. It's like, you're awful. You should all die and go to hell. And now the ending of the show finally makes sense. It's like, yeah, just send them to jail. They're fucking awful people.
They deserve this.
But no, I believe you're trying to bring up Batman before we get it.
Yeah, Batman.
all this stuff again.
Tim Burton's 1989 Batman.
Yes, the original awesome Batman from 1989.
The suit that Michael Keaton couldn't move in.
No, yeah, I don't know about that. I remember I watched this movie Friday. And I watched it again today.
Huh.
This was the last time I saw it. Was actually 2 hours ago. When did you guys see it?
Like, first time or recently?
Well, first time. Yeah, well, I saw it in the theaters.
Oh, you did?
With me.
I don't remember seeing it in theater. I remember definitely that was a big VHS movie we had in the house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, me and Mom and Dad went and saw it in the theater. I think outside of Chicago because we were in that area.
Yeah.
I remember it was a theater, not a normal theater we went to, because it was a big fucking deal when it came out.
Oh, yeah?
A lot of buzz around. There was a lot of negative buzz around it, like a year before it came out, because they're like, "Oh, the Beetlejuice guy's doing a movie, and guess who's playing Batman? Michael Keaton from Mr. Mom."
Was Beetlejuice before Batman?
Yeah, like he was more famous for like Mr.
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
Never
Never
mind.
mind.
Yeah, he was the main character in Beetlejuice too, but everyone else, I looked at some of the headlines, and a lot of people were like, it was Mr. Mom's playing Batman, and this weirdo's directing it, and it's a franchise that hadn't been on the big screen since, when was the last Batman? I don't remember. I know they
1960s.
Well, yeah. They did do a Batman movie with
Adam West. Yeah,
that's where he had bat shark repellent.
that's right. The Adam West Batman was fun. I've watched a couple of those recently, and it's like, well, this was kind of fun. This sort of reminded me of the '60s Star Trek. It's like there's a lot of 60s was better than that.
When you said fun, it just made me think my parents died. Wee.
Yeah, that kind of lighthearted fun.
There was some cleverness there, and there was a lot of like subtle undertext that was in there. But also, you have to remember, like, for like the first 2 seasons of that show, they shot 5 episodes a week.
Oh my god! Using meth just to stay awake.
Well, that's what they thought. Like back then, they thought like, okay, we have to shoot a show every day. This has to be on because like this is for kids. It has to be on every day, or they're just gonna not pay attention to it.
Oh wow! I didn't realize. I don't know much about the original Batman TV show. I don't know much about the Batman comics. So yeah, I'm more of a I enjoy watching movies and finding out about them.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to speak with any authority on anything related to.
Well,
comics.
we'll get to the end when we get into the other iterations of Batman.
Yeah. I've seen movies, so I'm a little more stable ground when it comes to that. But yeah, this movie, it had a real negative vibe around it. It had a weird Prince soundtrack that kind of overlaid it. I know,
well, not necessarily. Well, yeah, I guess it's weird.
I'm talking about the promotion stuff.
Oh, okay.
Advertising and stuff.
Well, no, because Prince did there's songs internal to the city of Gotham, to the Gotham City, where his songs exist inside it, but it's not necessarily like the soundtrack. It's weird.
Yeah, it is a strange, because this movie also had the awesome Danny Elfman soundtrack.
Yeah,
which everyone thinks of Batman when they hear it. But I'm talking more about. I remember some of the
some Bat Dance.
Yeah, some of the advertisements and people on GMA were talking about, because I know there were some really stilted interviews, and this was a movie that had kind of a weird energy around it when it came out. And this was another famous year of the writers' strike.
Oh, what?
Yeah, this was coming off the '88 Writers Guild strike. So, because this movie was actually written and rewritten as it was being filmed, and there's a lot of things in this movie that reveal that fact. You have to know that. So going in and sitting down and watching it as a probably, what was I, 15, 16? I didn't notice any of that, but later on when you find out all these facts, it's like, oh, okay, that's the whole reason they shot this scene, was because they were rewriting the story as they went. Had a budget of $35 million in 1989, which that's pretty big budget. It was biggest budgeted movie ever made in England at the time.
It's made in England? Jeez.
Yeah, it was made. They didn't have big enough sets to make it in the U.S. or not open ones.
Was this Pinewood Studio again?
Was this Pinewood or Shepperton? I don't remember. I think it's Pinewood. Yeah, Pinewood. Yep.
Okay.
But
shoot everything there. Star Wars.
Well, I guess it's like one. I think it's the biggest movie set in the world.
Maybe.
And this and you got to remember, $35 million. $9 million of this went to Jack Nicholson, just straight off the top. That's his fee for being in this movie. Plus, he got what did he get? Didn't this movie basically drive him from like, I don't have to act for 10 years. I can just drink and live off my Batman residuals.
Yeah, because there's usually like they offer like Will Smith. He always gets like 20 million and like 20% of the gross profits.
Yeah,
which like I really don't even know what the fuck that means. Basically, it means after everybody gets theirs, you get you get some of the profit after that.
Yeah,
but it's only like it only involves like theatrical profit.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that.
Like action figures and all that.
Yeah. But like Jack Nicholson, like he actually got like 10% of like points on the movie or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So he got like everything. So he got paid for how much it made in the theaters, how much it made in home video, how much toys and shit like that made.
Yeah, it's crazy deals basically.
Yeah, they said something like at the end of it, he basically got paid $70 million to do that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an insane amount of money. And we had
there's some things I read that made it seem like it was like the contract was written that way by accident. He just got a bunch of money, but I don't know. Because I remember like he didn't want to do it, but he just thought like, well, how much would they pay me? He's like, okay.
He also put like, you've heard about those weird writers that, some bands get. Basically, his contract for this movie was like, I'm 9 to 5. And if the Lakers are playing or something, fuck you. I'm not shooting that day. And I'm shooting for 8 hours a day. And if your set's not ready and you're having problems, fuck, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll try it again. There was a lot of that went on during this movie, I guess, with him.
Huh.
Because he just, he didn't really. I mean, he's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of this is like shit you read. Like, I don't know anyone personally involved in this movie.
Yeah.
So we also had Michael Keaton, as I said before, and Kim Basinger in one of her last acting roles.
No, but
I mean, one of the last ones that paid. Because what was the deal with her? She walked out on some contract or something, didn't she?
I don't know, like what you're referring to.
Yeah, I thought there was some deal with her.
I thought you just meant when you said last acting jobs, like after she got married to Isla Baldwin didn't act anymore or something.
We had Billy D. Williams was in this, and Jack Palance. Who else?
Billy D. Williams is Harvey Dent. He was supposed to be Two-Face at some point.
Yeah, that's where the Tim Burton verse fell apart. So they never got to follow that one.
That would have been interesting to see Two-Face.
The big heavy set cop.
Yeah.
I was like, "Where you been spending your nights?" I did not know that was Porkins from
Oh.
A New Hope.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast today. It's like, yeah, that's the guy who played Porkins. I guess that wasn't his voice though. They like
Okay, that makes sense. It seemed like it was ADR'd.
Yeah, the ADR.
But I didn't know if he ADR'd himself or if they had somebody else.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't his natural voice because there's a time when he does talk where it's his actual voice, and somebody said that on a podcast, and I listened to it, and I was like, "Fuck, you're right," but I don't remember where. So watch the movie. Tell me.
Well, that first scene where he's talking with Robert Wool doesn't sound like that dude's talking at all. Like, it sounds like somebody's just talking for him.
Yeah,
It's like, is this some foreigner who's just like mouthing the words?
he's born in Texas, so
Is this some like Hercules in New York shit? Can't trust Arnold Schwarzenegger to use his own voice. They're just gonna dub him in.
Oh, fuck, what was that movie?
Hercules in New York.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one where he's like the KGB agent in New York with like John Belushi and shit.
No, that's Red Heat.
Yeah, I know, but I thought he didn't do his voice work in that movie either.
I thought he did because he's supposed to be a Russian dude in that movie, right?
yeah.
I didn't think he did his voice work in that one though. That's why I didn't know there was actually a movie called fucking Hercules. in
Yeah,
New
it's
York.
called Hercules in New York. It was like one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's first movies, and like they never intended for him to actually speak for himself the entire time. It's like, yeah, your voice is weird, so we're gonna dub it. And then he did Conan the Barbarian, and it's like, hey, you only have to speak like 5 times in this movie, so don't worry about it.
Still one of the coolest movies ever. Anyway, back to Batman, 1989. This was somebody pointed out this was really Tim Burton's Joker movie because the Joker was a main character in this movie. It's like my Batman was almost like just a background character, which I heard that criticism and I watched the movie. It's like, yeah. I can see
Well, I
that.
mean,
Well, I was kind of surprised you didn't see the Batmobile until like an hour into the movie.
Yeah, there was. I mean, the Batman in this movie did a lot of he wasn't like jumping into the fray, and he got beat up and shot a lot too. I mean, with body armor on, but
Yeah.
like this
Oh,
Batman,
yeah, like the first 3 scenes you see him, he gets shot.
yeah, and this Batman's not like the invincible super Batman. This is kind of I don't know how long he'd been Batman in the context of this movie though. Was this Batman just starting out? Had he been doing this a while?
That's what they kind of made it seem like. 'Cause he's going around punching guys who robbed a family, and he just watched it happen. And then he's just like, tell your friends about Batman.
Oh, okay. So this was that wasn't really made very clear to me.
Well, I think that like a lot of things got condensed in this movie and thrown together because I think just because they were like, this is a new iteration of Batman, so they're kind of just trying to cram everything together in one movie.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why they make it that like the Joker killed his parents, because like that fits for the movie, but that's not necessarily how it is in the comic books.
Yeah, I did like that. I did like the Joker origin story in this. Because this movie, of course, I mean, nowadays it draws a lot of compare and contrast to the Nolan films, which are almost completely different in every way. Because this was sort of like a comic book with like a weird gothic layover to it.
Yeah, because there's still kind of goofy and campiness to it.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that was like a holdover from the Adam West Batman stuff, but then yeah, there's just like this dark undertone. Everyone is sickly looking.
Yes, no one looks healthy. It's like when Harvey Dent's giving his speech. Always love those statues out front of the Hall of Justice where they've got swords and like the scales and they're hunched over and they, I mean, it looks like something from what was the Riddick film? Who are the bad guys? The necromongers. It's like Gotham City looks like a city that those people would build. Like everything's bleak, steamy, and hopeless.
Yeah, it's art. I think it's called Art Deco.
Okay,
that kind of style. Where there's a lot of like things that are very stylish but unnecessary.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, or it's like here's like this weird shape that's kind of like a triangle with a cup at the bottom, and it's like layered like a dragon scale or something on the side of a building.
Yeah, it's very Gothic-esque architecture.
Yeah, there's a lot of like big matte painting shots in this movie of
Yeah.
like Gotham City it's a very bizarre looking place.
Yeah.
And everything that happens in Gotham City apparently happens on the same block. Wherever that block is, where that theater is, and those stairs are, stay the fuck away from that if you're in Gotham City, because like there's shootouts and parades of death and everything seems to happen there. So, which is a kind of a funny thing in this movie. Now, who is Tim Burton? What do we know about him?
Who is Tim Burton?
Is-
He's a fucking weirdo. Who occasionally makes
a real weirdo, or is he
oh yeah, he's a weirdo.
avant-garde weirdo? Like,
no, he's a real weirdo.
oh, he's a weirdo all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
He used to make good movies.
I haven't heard about a good Tim Burton movie in a long time.
now he just directs. Now he just like
Him and
he
Johnny
just-
Depp see how much they can raid out of the.
yeah. Charlie and Chocolate Factory, sure. Cinderella, sure. Whatever.
Right.
Planet of the Apes, fuck it, we'll do that. I mean, Johnny Depp wasn't in that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much Big Fish was his last kind of original and good movie.
I don't know. I mean, I liked the Alice in Wonderland remake he did. Like I haven't seen the second one. I don't think he's even.
He didn't
the
direct
second
that one.
But
He
the
never.
First one I thought was
he never
actually pretty
directs.
good, so I don't.
I didn't actually see it. I just assumed it was terrible because he hasn't made a good movie in a while.
The weird fucking thing at the end with Johnny Depp like doing a weird fucking dance where his head spins around on his body for no reason. He's doing like one of those like Russian dances where they get down and like squat and like kick their legs out, his head spinning 360 at the same time, and like this is our victory dance or what the fuck ever in some gobbledygook fucking language. And it's like, okay, the rest of the movie was actually kind of dark and made sense and had a good plot to it and all this other stuff, and then just that in the middle of it, and like, okay, just fucking break it up.
I like the claymation thing he did.
Corpse Ride or the Nightmare?
No,
Before-
the Christmas one.
Okay.
Well, he didn't actually do that. He just was a producer on that.
Oh, it looked like shit he would do.
Yeah.
His name was attached to it. So.
Well, like one of his first like kind of weird big movie. I'm not sure like if it got theatrical release or it was just some underground. It's called Frankenweenie.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I actually owned that on VHS when I was a kid. That was actually, I don't know if it holds up because I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but it was good.
Maybe it's fucking weird in black and white, but
It's basically, isn't there like an animated movie that came out?
Yeah,
that
they
was
did
like
an
that?
animated
It's
one,
exactly the same fucking story. It's just
Yeah.
animated. It's not the live action.
And who can forget Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
yeah. Another one of those like, hey, let's take this like kind of cartoon character and then just put some Tim Burton magical weirdness and uncomfortableness and darkness in it.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't realize he did Edward Scissorhands was sandwiched between the two Batman movies.
Huh. Okay, yeah, I guess, yeah.
No, I mean, I can't, there's something I swear like he's the new movie he's doing now that sounds promising, but I can't remember what it is.
Which one? Big Eyes
No,
or The Home for Exceptional Children?
Home for Exceptional Children. That's it. Big Eyes, I think, is already out. I thought it looked okay, but like Home for Exceptional Youth or Children or whatever seemed like it actually was kind of a promising movie because it is like the quirky, weird, but it actually seems like it has interesting story to tell because like it's an orphanage for the exceptional children in a time bubble during World War II, and they keep reversing time, trying to keep some evil or some police force from catching and killing all the children inside and shit. So it's almost a 24-hour loop or whatever, and every kid has his own power or weird quirk to him or whatever. So it seems interesting in that respect, and I would watch it for that aspect alone.
I didn't know he did Big Eyes. Like I heard that was a pretty good movie.
One of my favorite movies he did was the
Oh yeah, fucking Dark Shadows.
I like that movie. I know everybody puts it down so much. It wasn't a bad movie.
It's weird. It's not.
I never saw the TV series, so I have nothing to compare.
It's not good, but there's like things about it. Like that part where like Johnny Depp is like getting high with the hippies.
And then he fucking drains all.
And he's like, it's too bad I'm gonna have to kill you all. And like that
And
that
they're
has
like,
nothing to do with the rest of the fucking movie. Other than like, oh, he has a vampire. I guess he should eat people at some point.
I know, but that was a funny scene though, because the guy's like, "What?" and they all die. So, I mean, I like that part. It was it was funny, and then like getting Alice Cooper like fucking be in the mansion made no fucking sense whatsoever, but it fit with the time period. It fit with the theme of the movie too. So, I mean, I like the. I mean, I don't really. I mean, I understand why Helen Bonham Carter was in like every movie he did for a long time because that they were married, but now they're not anymore. But I think she's still pretty much in.
Well, she was the
Back
Queen of
to-
Hearts and
Yeah, and
Cinderella
Alice
movie.
Wonderland,
So.
and then she's in, or obviously Dark Shadows and fucking Corpse Bride and fucking bunch of other stuff. But
I always
No.
like the one about the terrible film director. The guy he was a transvestite. Ed Wood.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite Tim Burton movies.
Mm.
Because there's just there was so much delicious weirdness in it. Because they were basically, I like the story about how they were conning this church into paying for this terrible movie so that they could make money off that movie and make films about Jesus. It was just really had like Martin Landau was in it, Bill Murray. He was a gay guy. Bill Murray was, and
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because they baptized him. He's like, "Do you repent all your sins?" And he's like, "Sure."
I thought that was a
Because
good.
they all have to get baptized so they can get money from the church to make
Right, yeah.
this
And
sci-fi horror movie.
there was so much weird, and then this is the guy who did Plan 9. Was that the movie he was funding in this picture?
Maybe I believe so, but
my favorite thing was when they'd like shoot a scene and it was just terrible dialogue, and the guy would bump into a set and it would almost fall over, and they clap the thing and be like, "Perfect, next scene." It was so funny. I guess that movie wasn't very well received, but I remember things from it that were
well, no, it was like academically or whatever. It was well received, but it made no fucking money.
because it was black and white too.
Yeah.
There was something weird about it.
But yeah, the only like because like it got some like nominations for Academy Awards and stuff like that. But no one saw
Okay.
it.
So people did like it. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to watch it on HBO all the time. But so yeah, that's Tim Burton. So legitimate weirdo, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I've
Don't
never heard
know
any.
anything
I've
about
never heard any of the weirdo stuff, but yeah.
Well, just look at his fucking hair. Who does that?
No,
He wears
know what
nothing but
looks like. I'm
black.
just saying, I've never heard any stories.
Listen to him talk. He's just like he just talks about worms and shit. Like this guy's fucking weird.
I've never heard an interview or anything. I know he has that look. All his movies are like this is like Beetlejuice, like that kind of look and vibe. That's what I think of when I think of a Tim Burton movie.
I mean, it could all be for show, but like I think he's just like you look at everything in his movies are slightly uncomfortable, and like that's what he likes. Is like that's what he wants to put to the public eye.
Well, he definitely did that in this movie. I mean, the Joker was, I mean, that was a lot of Jack Nicholson went into that too. But yeah, he was an unhinged, unpleasant character that you never knew what he was going to do. And there was a lot of violence in this movie too. Joker was, of course, a very violent guy. But
Well, yeah, there's like a strange like degrees of violence where it's like, here's some bloodless violence, and then here's like, hey, here's some really shockingly like some over violence, ultra
like
violence.
when he shoots Jack Palance, the crime lord, when he comes
Yeah.
back with the Joker, and he just does this little dance, and this guy's screaming while he's shooting him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, what a day!" And just there's a lot of scenes like that in this. And what was this movie rated? I forgot to look.
I want to say it's PG-13,
PG-13.
but it might have been R. But it made so much money, I don't think it was R.
I don't think this was R. It's probably one of those ones where like we'll appeal forever until you give it. You can have your PG-13.
But no, you're back.
But when it is PG-13, when he shocked that guy until he turned into a smoking skeleton.
Oh yeah,
Spoilers.
yeah, that was another weird one. That was kind of always reminded me of the scene from like Good or what was the one where the guy goes up to the guy with the ball bat, the mobster movies. I don't remember.
Are
That'd be more
you
specific,
thinking
the guy
about
with a baseball bat and
Goodfellas or Casino?
or
Well, the one where the guy's giving the speech about loyalty and everyone's like, "Yeah, loyalty, loyalty," and he just goes up behind the guy who he knows was snitching on him.
Oh, that's
The death of the ball
that's
bat.
Untouchables.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that reminded me kind of like sort of reminiscent of that.
because when he said gang or like mob movie and baseball bat, I'm like, oh, see Godfather, fucking Casino. Does he also have a tracksuit on though? I narrow it down.
No, that was Robert De Niro plays. Who's he play? Real life gangster.
Capone
No.
or
Because he didn't actually go to jail. He went
Wasn't
to
that-
jail for tax evasion. He didn't actually go to jail.
Capone.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Doesn't that also have Andy Garcia in it, or is that?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people in it. Kevin Costner and fucking that James Bond.
yeah.
Sean Connery.
Highlander, yeah, Sean Connery, yeah. But anyway,
Anyways, you're gonna
kind of
say,
it was sort of reminiscent of that.
But no, what I was gonna, because you mentioned earlier before we got into more stuff about Tim Burton and stuff like that, you mentioned that it seemed to you like it was more a film about Joker and their criticism of that because Batman wasn't as much in the movie from his own namesake, but it's almost in as far as comics go and stuff like that, because you said you don't read it or read a lot of them, don't really know how it compares. If anytime Joker shows up in a Batman comic book, he just literally takes over everything anyway. So that's very reminiscent of comic books. It's almost like Superman and Lex Luthor, or obviously Batman and Joker, or Spider-Man and Green Goblin. It's something that's so closely associated with the hero in the first place that to have that person on screen or in that movie, just like Heath Ledger's Joker in that Batman movie. I would think more of that Joker in that movie than I would think of Batman most of the time.
That's true.
The character was so overpowering compared to just Batman. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Well, I just thought in this movie, like, it seemed to me like the writers and the director were more interested in the Joker period. Like that it's Batman becomes like kind of the static, because Batman's like one of those complex heroes. He's not like Superman, where Superman's always good and justice and all that. Whereas as Batman, it has a dark origin and kind of a dark follow through. But in this movie, it just seemed to me like, oh, this is a movie about the Joker. And there's not a whole lot of Batman or anyone else in it, whenever, the Joker just seemed to be like the thrust of this movie.
yeah.
Whereas is like the Nolan movie, the Joker was amazing in that movie, but there was also a Batman kind of story, and you didn't like that Joker at all. Like this guy played like a middle-aged Joker. I don't know how old Jack Nicholson was when he did this, but he seemed like a middle-aged guy.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and which was I thought that was it was really cool. I mean, what he did with this character in this movie was amazing. I've always liked this Joker because he is sinister and evil and awful, but he also has this weird subtext of what is he? Does he really think he's an artist? Does he want to be an artist, or is he just totally evil and wants to fuck with people? Like,
yeah, that's the struggle of the comic books. Even in there, after so many years, they have no idea how to define him or what his origin story is because they keep changing it. Because nothing really fits. He's just a complete wild card that nobody really knows what the hell he's going to do.
Like every Batman villain kind of represents some sort of different mental disorder.
well, yeah.
And Joker's kind of all of them.
This Joker in particular had he had a certain manic energy. Like you could see why people would want to be around this guy. Like
this is probably like the only like kind of origin story that the Joker actually has that's legitimate.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, because like every other time, like that he has origin stories, but you find out by the end of it, it's just a lie.
Yeah.
every origin, like, because that was the thing they kind of did in the Dark Knight,
Yeah, where
is he gives like 4 different origin stories and none of them are true.
Like, you know, one was about his wife, and then one was there was some.
about his dad being like,
Yeah.
"Why are you so serious, son?" No, I mean the origin story in the comic is supposed to be that he falls in a vat like Ace Chemical or whatever, and then he was supposed to die, but instead he like turns into what he is now, where he's completely like he's pale faced and somehow impervious to certain things and all this other shit. So
Because there's been stuff where he's like he was a failed comedian and then like that happened, but in this movie he's just like just kind of a slightly like over the top sadistic gangster.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He kind of starts off as like, oh yeah, this guy's a killer and a nutcase, but then when he falls into the vat of chemicals, he goes over the.
Then he gets style.
Well, some of the best scenes with this Joker and the was at the art museum. What was that place called? It had a weird name. Like
I want to say it sounded something like the Guggenheim, but I think they put an L in it, like it's the Lugenheim or something. Like
yeah, yeah. It was a really cool looking museum, and he of course goes there to deface the art, and that's one song from the Prince soundtrack comes in there, the Party Man song. They're playing on the ghetto blaster, and they basically deface all this famous art. And he's there to intercept Vicky Vale, and he has this thing where he's like showing off his art. And it's the head gangster's old girlfriend, and his thing is like, I'm the world's first fully functional homicidal artist. I make art until somebody dies. Totally fucking nutty. And it was delivered because Jack Nicholson was basically like, oh, this is Jack Nicholson as the Joker versus Jack Nicholson in The Shining. So it was all delivered that way. But it was, I always liked that part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like you get to see more about who is the Joker and all that. It's like, oh, this guy really is fucking crazy.
That's where Batman shows up and finally gets to be Batman. Throw some gadgets around,
Yeah,
hop in the Batmobile, and then get stuck in the middle of the road. It's like, all right, let's hop out again.
this car sucks. Can't jump over that thing.
you don't understand. It's pretty much a solid frame.
Then he gets shot again.
And it's got the best body armor ever. No busted ribs.
Should we shoot him in the face, boss? No, aim for the chest.
That was a great one when they do shoot him and they're like, check his wallet. Oh. Yeah, there was another more great Joker dialogue in the Lugenheim or Flugenheim or whatever it was. Of course, where does he get those wonderful toys?
Yeah.
Which that was in the trailer, and then when Vicky Vale's like, "You're insane," he's like, "I thought I was a Pisces." Little things like that I found to be cool.
Wait till they get a load of me is probably one of the biggest lines in the movie.
Yeah, that was a good. He always shoots he's always destroying televisions in one way or another. We have big, ridiculous firearms or boxing fists. Which I always wondered about the boxing fist. I was like, was that just made in case he didn't like what he heard on TV or where?
Yeah, it looked like it had like a swivel on it, so maybe he just wanted to punch things, but like this one was aimed for the TV finally. I want you to build this just so it can punch the TV. Like, why, boss? Shoot that man.
No, not to distract from the Batman we were talking about, but has anybody seen Suicide Squad to know what Jared Leto's Joker is compared to?
Yeah, I saw it.
Is his Joker any semblance of the other two, or anything close?
No.
To any of it, or-
People seem to really hate it. Just in general.
That's what I've heard. But
I was fine with it because I was like, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to try to emulate Jack Nicholson or the dude who died and won an Oscar for that role? Like, what are you going to do? And so his Joker is like, all right, do you remember the Tainted Love video with Marilyn Manson where he's like a pimp? That's that Joker.
The tortured Joker, the more tortured Joker, huh? I haven't seen the movie, so
Yeah, neither am I.
He just seems like a Joker who grew up in the ghetto. It's like, it's like, I'm crazy. I like to play jokes that only I find funny because people die when I do them. But also, like, I like rap music, and I like pimp. I like to look like a pimp. Like, that's his Joker,
okay.
which I thought was fine. I was fine with it because it's like the Joker's just a crazy guy. So, like, but other people seem to really hated it because like Jared Leto went all method acting with that, so he like made his castmates uncomfortable by sending them dead animals in the mail.
Jesus Christ.
Well, because like the classic Joker style for even the comic books, like the Joker never goes past like Jack Nicholson looked like, or even Heath Ledger, where it's the suit and more of a classic get up, but he seemed more like, hey, he's got fake gold grills on his teeth, and
Yeah,
he's got the pimp, like you said, the pimp look.
yeah, and he's got
Which,
tattoos. He's got weird tattoos.
I
all
think
over the
people are
place.
more just adverse to it just because it's like that just seems stupid. Like the Joker always, he's crazy, but he has like a code or like some type of class
Well,
to his actions. He's not just some dirty, weird gangster thug Joker. Like he's not some social retard.
well,
I mean, it almost seems like that to me when you look at Jared Leto's Joker, where it's like
it doesn't have that Art Deco-ness to it. It doesn't have his 1950s Joker to it. That I'll give you that, but also I don't know what you're gonna do with it. So,
No, I know. I wasn't saying I know the perfect direction to go with it. I'm just.
but
saying,
also like remember what the Joker is now in the comic books. All right, let me describe the Joker in the current day comic books. So the Joker at some point got killed, but then he didn't get killed. Some guy just cut his face off. So the Joker got his face back, and he just has it pulled over his face.
Yeah, he's wearing janitor coveralls with like Joe on it.
And his face is rotting because it's just dead flesh. So he gets progressively more flies on it, and it's more disturbing.
Yeah, but then the other part of that story arc is though that Batman like finds these fucking photos of like the Joker in like 1905 when like Arkham Asylum first opened. He looks exactly the same. He's trying to figure out what all the fuck this shit means. If like the Joker's like immortal, or if there's like more than one of them, or what the fuck. And it like branches off. So there's 2 or 3 Jokers. There's not just one. And then so the fucking whole storyline is fucking confusing. Like they can't seem to decide if there's one Joker and he fucking cut his face off and somebody else did it or what. But it's.
But secretly, the best Joker is Mark Hamill.
And unfortunately, he only does animated. He doesn't do. I don't think he's done any live. I guess he kind of.
Why would he?
He kind of did a Joker.
That would break the illusion.
True. But no, I'm just saying, like the Jansaw Bob Strike Back, he kind of did like a crazy type.
Yeah, he
villain
kind of
type
did
thing.
something.
Not like a Joker villain, but like a crazy voice
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
But anyways, Joker, Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I also, if like you're gonna pay that guy to be in the movie, you might as well like make him the focus of the movie.
Make him work for it. Yeah.
because otherwise, like you said, to that point, Michael Keaton was just known for he did a great job in Beetlejuice and he did a good job in Mr. Mom, but it wasn't anything. I don't think those are his biggest movies after that point, weren't they? Or did he have something else I'm forgetting?
I don't.
We had a bunch of small like comic movies. Like he had that like what was that one movie where they're making cars in Japan and stuff like
Gung Ho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I had to watch that for a Japanese culture class for some reason. I don't know what the fuck I do why.
Yeah, what was his other big one before this? Johnny Dangerously.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that wasn't a great movie, but A Night Shift. That was a pretty cool movie.
Which one was that?
That was the one with him and oh shit. Oh. Can't remember who was in that. Ron Howard directed it.
I think we brought it up before, but I think it's one of those movies I haven't seen.
Yeah, Richard Belzer.
Oh.
Or no, that was Richard Belzer was in. I'm trying to think. Oh, Henry, the guy who played the Fonz. It's him and Henry.
Henry Winkler.
Yeah.
No, because I know after the Batman movies, I mean, his career is not like he has good roles still occasionally, but he's not like a superstar or anything.
You want to see a powerful Michael Keaton movie? If you're interested in seeing what he is as an actor, watch that movie Clean and Sober. I mean, you won't walk away from it happy or feeling good about it, but it's a fucking amazing movie. It's an amazing, amazing fucking movie.
Well, after he did like that second Batman movie where they paid him a lot of money, he kind of quit acting.
Yeah.
Because like after that, he did that was it Bombs Over Baghdad, where they're the CNN reporters in Baghdad during the first Gulf War bombing. It was an HBO TV movie.
Yeah, that was a big. I remember. What was that called? Yeah, because they were CNN people. Which one was that?
I want to say it's Bombs Over Baghdad, but
Live from Baghdad.
oh, okay, that's it.
2002. Yeah.
And after that, like he didn't do anything until like he did guest. No, he did. He had one character who was the same character for two different film companies because he played the same character in Out of Sight and in Jackie Brown. But two different companies owned those different books. But like in the Elmer Leonard universe, he's the same character. So he actually like played that same character for both movies. And so he just did that kind of bit part, and then he just disappeared.
Well, I can't forget Jack Frost.
Or everybody forgets about Multiplicity. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he disappeared more after the Multiplicity. Or was Multiplicity
that
before?
was before Jack Frost and stuff, but
Yeah, Multiplicity was in 90.
Yeah.
Or was in
like
90s.
early, late 90s, really.
Okay,
something
yeah,
like that, but-
yeah. Because like after that, Live from Baghdad, that's when that was the big break.
I mean, other than that, the last movies I've seen him in is
Herbie Fully Loaded.
oh Jesus,
Well, I mean, of course, he was in like that Birdman
the
movie.
new RoboCop movie.
Oh yeah, that too. He was good in. Was it The Other Guys?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
'cause
really
he was
good in
the
that.
police guy,
Have you seen that yet, Nathan?
The other guys?
Yeah,
Oh shit. Who's in it?
Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell.
Is that where they're cops?
Yeah,
I don't know if me and Stacy watch it. It's not standing out, so I'm gonna say no.
you need to watch that movie.
Okay. Is there something in it I'm gonna get out of it, or
Yes, the first 5 minutes of that is fucking hilarious.
oh okay.
Well, it's stupid at first, but then something happens that you would not expect.
Somebody fuck a horse, or what goes on?
Sure, kind of, yeah.
No, fuck a horse trick.
No, because every time I think about that movie, I can't distinguish it between that and like Starsky and Hutch for some reason, and I hate both those movies. I can't stand either one.
So I'm gonna say Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock are in it.
They
Okay.
are?
Yes,
I totally forgot about that.
they're in like the first 5 minutes of the movie, and that's why you need to see that movie. Now the rest of the movie is perfectly fine too. It's just that's the first 5 minutes is pretty amazing.
Okay.
I don't want to ruin the joke, so you guys need to see this before somebody ruins the fucking joke for you.
I'll probably watch like the first 5 minutes again, but I remember watching it with my wife back when it first came out, and we didn't like it at all. It was pretty stupid.
But Adam McKay directed that, so it's like the Anchorman guy and stuff like that. But also, like, this is his, like, before he did The Big Short, like, he had a bunch of stuff in this movie where it was all about like all the corruption going on in like the stock market and stuff like that. Like, there's a bunch of that stuff in this movie because like Michael Keaton and the other guys, he's like the chief of police or something like that, or he's like some sort of top cop, and he's still working at like a Home Depot, like in his as a part-time job because he doesn't make enough money as a police officer.
Yeah, that was the other movie you made me think of that he's in recently, Spotlight,
Oh yeah,
where he's the
that came out on Netflix. Oh yeah, he's in that.
Yeah.
I hear that's good.
It is very good. It's super depressing and scary.
Yeah.
It's-
makes you think about the lack of investigative journalism nowadays, unfortunately.
well, and it also makes you think it's it took a lot of groundwork for those guys to crack that case, but once they did, it's like, well, holy shit. And then, you know, just because the one guy, I remember the guy they were talking to on the phone that was like the deep throat.
Yeah.
It's like, if there's one of these guys, there's probably 72, or he said something.
Yeah. Even though, yeah, the statistical average, like, yeah, there's going to be like, oh, yeah, we got like 20, like around 20. Well, that must mean there's like 800 of these guys or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
really? There's that many? Like, oh, yeah, like all these cases I've done before, there's that many. And there's this many that out that you know about. There's this many more hiding that we don't know about. And all. It's like, oh shit. And yeah, it was a good movie for all. Did a very good job covering the investigative and all the groundwork stuff, and it was a very moving movie. And unfortunately, it obviously was true. It ruined a bunch of people's lives. So it was.
See, Michael Keaton's next movie that looks interesting to me is the Founder. It's about the guy who founded McDonald's.
Yeah, the trailers look pretty interesting for that. It'd be.
Well, Ray Kroc's really is a very interesting guy. Very much a product of his. I read a book about him, and normally I don't read business books because they just piss me off. But this guy, he was a pretty interesting guy. I mean, if they get, I'm going to hold any facts I have about him until we watch this movie, because I think it's going to be one we want to watch.
Oh, was it you that? Because I read like most of the biographical for the founding Amazon and the founder for that one, and maybe it was you, or maybe it was somebody else that talked about like he had bought out like a newspaper or whatever, like the Washington like Sentinel or Post or.
You're talking about Jeff Bezos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like his big idea to improve readership was if people got bored reading the article, they could like press a button and play a game and like they could pay like $1 and make all the nouns disappear or whatever. And like
I don't think I said that, but it sounds pretty interesting.
I can't remember who told me that now, but he's like, that was his big idea to make the paper more profitable and bring in money. And it was like a huge fucking bomb because nobody thought that was a good idea. Nobody would pay the $1 extra per article.
I would like to see all the nouns disappear, but I'm not willing to pay for it. Free noun vaporization.
Isn't how people read the news nowadays?
Yeah, pretty much.
Just insert your own nouns.
Insert your own story, basically. I'm seeing nowadays, but yeah.
All right, so where were we? Joker?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. We're talking about the Joker and talking about the cast.
And Michael Keaton,
And then one of my favorite scenes is like his main henchman throughout the entire movie. It's Bob the henchman.
I had his action figure. Bob was awesome.
Yeah, like the Batman like brings all the poisonous balloons away, and he's like, "My balloons!" And he's like, "Bob, give me your gun." And he just shoots him.
Yeah.
Boys, we're gonna need him.
I need a moment. That proves that the Joker didn't love anyone.
Yeah.
Especially not himself. It was the most, and he was he basically dressed like a pimp. Well, that's another thing. Like I said, we always kind of circle back to trying to keep on our ideas. So like, does this movie made in 1989 hold up today? That's always something we talk about, and this movie definitely does. And I'll tell you why, because it's timeless. Because they're mixing, or at least, 100 years from now it won't be, but they're mixing in elements of, like you said, Art Deco, which was a style, I believe, of the 20s.
20s and 30s.
Yeah, 20s and 30s. They're driving cars of indeterminate origin, mainly crappy 70s AMC type cars, but nobody dresses. They definitely don't dress like people did in the late 80s.
No.
So they're kind of dressed anywhere from the 40s to the 60s. Everything in this movie is kind of a mashup of time periods.
Yeah.
You don't really know what you're looking at because they have technology, but it kind of sucks. It's big and bulky, like no cell phones or nothing revealing in this movie.
I mean, that's the thing that's supposed to be cool about Gotham, though. You're talking about all the style stuff, like how everything's kind of in that same time bubble.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Gotham's always pictured. It's dark and gritty, like gothic, like depressing. It's always that same style throughout, from what people wear to what they drive and what they live in.
Oh,
thing.
okay.
That's he captured that really well in that film. Like nothing's out of place. It's like, oh, okay, the buildings are Art Deco, the clothing's around the same time period, but they're driving jet cars. Like, no, it's I don't know. He did a really good job with how everything looked in that movie. It all fit. So good job.
Yeah, this movie this movie is kind of reminiscent of Blade Runner, and there is a lot. I mean, Jack Nicholson gives a great performance, but there is a lot more style over substance in this movie because some of the dialogue in this movie is real clunky.
Yeah.
If you're watching it nowadays, you're like, wow, that was acceptable, huh? Okay. I mean,
It's like, oh, just like, hey, should we give a script to Robert Wool? Like, nah, just let him talk. All the writers are on strike.
yeah. There was some clunky, like the whole thing with the where they go to Vicky Vale's apartment where the Joker goes there, and Bruce Wayne is there, and all. I mean that was like, that seemed to be really out of sequence with everything else going on in the film. I think they were
Want to go nuts? Let's go nuts.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to establish some kind of connection between those characters.
But doesn't the Joker give the line there, like, you ever dance with the devil in the pale blue light?
Yeah, that does come out. I mean, there's but it seems like it seemed like it was inserted almost. Like,
yeah.
That's
like, this is the one good piece of dialogue that's written here. Like, we'll just improv some stuff and throw that line in.
Yeah, exactly. The whole same thing seemed forced because they show up at her apartment, knock her out, and then she wakes up later like, well, why wouldn't he kidnap her if he's a fucking psycho and he's obviously has a thing for her? It's like, we'll just leave her in her apartment. She'll get up and find the dinner tray, the bulletproof nickel serving tray. So that was there is a lot more. This movie stylistically is really cool. It's not so much story and dialogue, but Nicholson's performance and Keaton's performance as Batman, he does a good job.
Yeah.
Kind of seems like an unhinged guy.
I thought that was kind of weird here, where it's like it seemed that nobody knew that Bruce Wayne's parents were murdered. It's like he seems to like be a cornerstone of the city. You think they'd know that his parents had died?
Yeah,
especially the news.
Yeah, give me everything you got about Bruce Wayne. What do we know? What's important? Got to go do a deep dive on that. Think that'd stand out in somebody's biography. Oh yeah, parents gunned down by psychopaths and outside the city.
His favorite color is blue. Was there a lot of corporate sponsorship for that movie when it came out? Do you remember, like McDonald's and Coca-Cola and shit like that? Or
I'm not sure for that. I remember there's one. This might have been for Returns, where like the lids were like Batmobile tires or something like that for like the cups at like McDonald's.
Yeah, that could have been.
I remember they did some like what do you call that? Like cross advertising with that. There was nothing like in the movie, but there was a bunch of stuff that like they plastered Batman on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because I don't really I wasn't alive during that time, but I don't really remember anything around that time. If there were, the way it is now, where it seems like every movie has a fucking corporate tie-in. So I don't know if that really was still around back then or not.
This movie didn't really have. I mean, they stuck the logo and the name on everything, but it was almost kind of like after. It's like, oh, people like this. Okay, go ahead. It wasn't. This movie did not have a positive buzz around it initially.
Yeah. Okay.
And like I said, it had the weird Prince soundtrack overlaid, and then they had the real soundtrack, like the Danny Elfman soundtrack, which was cool. But this, it was kind of strange. The whole thing was strange because I remember I bought that soundtrack and listened to it, and it's like, oh, there's like 2 songs here from the movie, and the rest of it's just weird Prince stuff.
So like every other movie soundtrack I've ever bought, where it's like 2 good songs and then a bunch of shit you never heard in the movie that you're
pretty much.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to get the, what do they call that? The original theatrical score. So OTS. You have to get the OTS soundtrack if you want the literal soundtrack of a movie.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just shit they paid some artists to produce. They put
Yeah, well, remember fucking like the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack where like almost
Yeah.
none of the songs were in the movie. Like at least the Spawn soundtrack like had at least a portion of the songs in the movie.
Yeah,
That was like one of the coolest soundtracks ever made for a very terrible movie.
yeah. It's like we're gonna do these mashup bands, and yeah, that was
Right, multiple covers. It's good.
it's like this
No.
must be a great movie if they're investing this kind of money just in the soundtrack. But as it turned out, we were lied to.
It'd be really cool if they did another Spawn movie, but I don't know if there's a lot of traction
No,
behind that.
They lost too much money the first time.
No, yeah, you'll have to. Well, I mean, I guess there's always opportunity to reboot it. So,
Well, China seems to finance just about everything out of the gate. Anymore.
well, I mean, like after the success of Deadpool, you can do more rated R stuff now because, like, oh, the ceiling for rated R movies is like $400 million. All right, cool.
Yeah, but Spawn doesn't. I mean, Deadpool is violent, but it's also funny and weird.
Yeah.
But Spawn's just violent. I don't think-
Remember how they did the original movie where they tried to make it funny and weird,
Yeah.
like with John Leguizamo? It's not good.
So yeah.
You see, they did an HBO cartoon of Spawn that was really good. It was almost like Twilight Zone episodes with Spawn. That's pretty much the best video production of Spawn is that cartoon, with weird intros by Todd McFarlane.
Oh, and switching back again, but it seems the Batman vs Superman movie. It's the first time I've ever seen Gotham City and Metropolis referenced in any geographical area as far as locations. Like I've never seen them just supposedly across the lake before. It's like
Yeah.
if that's the same way it is in the comic universe, why the fuck does Gotham need Batman and Superman?
Yeah.
Just fucking go back and forth between two cities. Like it seems wasteful to have two super.
Maybe that's why Batman's so angry. You're right there. Jesus fucking Christ.
Do all this work, you can fly around the earth, but can't get to this, huh?
Can't get to the fucking suburb right by fucking Metropolis. Like,
Well, that was like the thing I think in Kingdom Come, and I think in other comic books, but like, where's Flash live?
Emerald City or not Emerald City? Fucking
It's
Keystone.
like Star
or
City,
something like
or
that.
where's Star City? Which one's Star City? Is that Green Arrow? Anyways, the city that the Flash is, like, at some point he's so fast he can be anywhere at once, and it's like a utopia because there's no crime where the Flash is.
Oh, okay.
So people get mad about that.
Well, because I always thought like Gotham and Metropolis were more or less kind of like Chicago and New York geographically almost.
That's why.
And then to see them just like, oh, it's just across the bay. I'm like,
Yeah.
fucking bullshit.
That's what I thought.
There's no need for Batman if fucking Superman's right across the bay all the time. It's like, yeah, no. It's not Jimmy John's. We don't deliver to your area. like I don't get it. So I don't know.
That's why Batman's so angry. Fucking Jimmy John's got here before Superman did.
Fast.
Yeah, because if Batman wants to do fucking anything, he has to like fucking spy on the whole city, wait for shit to happen, suit up, build an airplane, go fly there. 50 people are dead. Superman's like, I wonder that my ear's itching.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's
Batman's
just,
racist. I mean, Superman's racist.
I mean, I actually did like Batman vs Superman, but the only two parts about the movie I didn't like was Doomsday was totally dispatchable for, which seemed like a bullshit reason. And I mean, it was seem for how much he did in the comic book, like literally fucking tore through the East Coast and like fucking pretty much devastated all the heroes in the world and shit like that, and finally killed Superman in giant multiple battles. And then this one, just like, nope, Batman and Wonder Woman preoccupy him for a little bit. Superman comes back and then kills him pretty quick. I mean, I know it's supposed to be nice and neat and quick for the movie, but at the same time, like, I think that should have been something in another movie, not.
What? That also like took some. Maybe it was from another comic book, but I remember it in Kingdom Come, where they fire a nuke at Superman. He's just like a skeleton and then the sun comes up and like he regenerates.
Well, I didn't obviously know. I didn't know Doomsday was gonna be in the movie when I watched it. I thought Lex Luthor, because in the comic books he does Bizarro, which is the clone of Clark Kent or whatever, and that's his like way of combating Superman. I thought it was gonna be Bizarro was coming out of the pit or whatever. Like that would have made more sense to be like a.
Oh, did they actually say it was Doomsday, or is it just more
No, it was
implied?
Doomsday.
It was Doomsday. Okay.
Yeah, because he had at the end, like you could tell because he had the spikes that came out of his head and shit like that. It was Doomsday because he has that look. In the new comic book, they make him really fucking like Doomsday is weird. He like emits like some kind of plague around him that kills everything, and then like he vaporizes when Superman kills him, and then he takes over Superman's body. It makes him like so basically Doomsday basically kills Superman from within, and Superman becomes Doomsday, and so like the whole world's threatened again. So it's weird, but it's actually kind of cool. So anyway, enough about my geekiness.
Back to Batman, 1989.
So what'd you think of Alfred in this?
He's fine.
Guy definitely looked like it's like, oh, this is the quintessential English butler.
Is this the same Alfred that was in all the Batman movies before the Nolan ones, or did they actually change?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, because he even went to the Schumacher Batman movie.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I couldn't remember what he looked like from the first one. So.
Yeah, like when Bruce Wayne is kind of distracted by Vicky Vale, and he just like puts a pin in a plant. He comes by, picks it up, and he just like sets a cup down and grabs it before it falls over. Go get some, Bruce Wayne.
Grab her and stab her.
I wish they would touch more on. I think they did in Batman or Superman, but Penny or like in the comic books, like it sounds like Alfred was like a SAS like commando and like had all these special forces training, but in like none of the movies besides
they mention it somewhat in Dark Knight, where he's talking about like how they're hunting a guy in like the forest in like South America or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's just like some people just want to. Sometimes, Mr. Wayne, some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, that was the Michael Caine Alfred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you can, if you watch the Gotham TV show, like the dude who plays Alfred is basically like, mini Jason Statham.
Oh, they've made him younger and kind of like an East End punk or something.
Yeah, well, he's just like, he's proper and he's a butler, but like he's muscle bound and can like kind of kick people's asses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
it's not more the technician type.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because Bruce Wayne's like what 20-something years older, or not older, younger than he is in the movies, so it makes sense that he's at least Alfred's more agile and mobile and shit.
Yeah.
So, it'd be a nice little caveat to put more of that in there in the next Batman type movie, but who knows?
So what do you guys think of the Batwing?
It was cool. I mean, all his vehicles were cool in this one.
Yeah, I like the Batwing scene in this too, because I think that was because of all the Batmobiles, my favorite is the Tumbler, because that seems like, oh yeah, that's like some kind of industrial assault machine that they like Wayne Industries would build. But the plane he used in the Nolan movies was not as convincing as this for some reason.
Yeah,
it's like this is like, oh yeah, this is what Batman would fly in.
Why not the Bat speedboat?
Like,
no.
Yeah, no.
It's Adam West. Is this the one where like the Batwing like flies up in the moon and kind of like makes it like the spotlight thing?
Before it turns around and falls back to Earth and targets the Joker with like he pulls the thing over like almost in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it's like he targets him with missiles and rotary machine guns and misses. And then the Joker pulls out his like Wile E. Coyote super long gun and shoots the Batwing down in one shot, which I'm not going to question the logic of it. It's just a cool scene. But
yeah.
It was kind of weird at the same time.
Well, it was a weird like thing because like think about Batman is like he's not supposed to like kill people. Like people kind of always he kind of like he kind of nudges people towards them committing their own demise.
Now, this
He's
movie
like
kills
supposed to.
people, yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he throws that one guy down the stairs. The guy who beats his ass in the top of the church.
Oh, okay.
He throws that guy down the stairs.
As they put it in the comic books, he's not about putting them in a coma and they eventually
Yeah.
die. He's just out.
He's not gonna
outright
kill you.
killing
He's just
people.
gonna give you like lifelong brain damage.
He's okay with that.
But you're still alive. Yeah.
But no, like I guess probably some of the reason people are pissed off about the new movie too is because Batman openly killed people in that movie. Like before, like all the other ones, like
Well, I wouldn't say openly. It's just more obvious that people probably would have died by his actions. He wasn't slitting people's throats, but
no,
that
but-
dude has to be dead. He threw a fucking truck on top of his car.
Talking about the.
Batman vs Superman.
Oh, I thought you meant.
We're like blows
old
up.
ones. I was like, yeah, if Batman killed 20 people in The Dark Knight Rises, it's like, how many people did Bane kill? 100,000?
Yeah, but there's not a lot of overt death because it's supposed to be Batman's code that he never kills anyone.
Yeah.
Because that would make him on the same level as the people he's fighting. But then all the villains and all the people that go against him always like, why don't you just kill these people? They just keep getting out and killing people all
Yeah,
over again.
like, no, I've put him in jail. It's
That's
like,
the
if
one-
you just killed this guy, he wouldn't kill any more people. It's like, there's always going to be somebody that wants to kill everybody.
Always somebody.
True, but then this guy wouldn't keep getting out of jail and killing
Yeah.
people, and you end up paying for his incarceration all the time. Which one?
Well, Task Force X, they're actually serving the government needs. Anyways, but yeah, I mean that's the thing you have here, where like they have the points where he's like trying to save the Joker, and then like he accidentally drops the Joker in the vat of acid or chemicals or whatever,
Yeah.
like trying to save him, and then they kind of replicate that at the end here, and then like, what is that, like the teeth thing, like bite his hand and he lets go, or is he just let go? I can't remember.
He just lets go. Well, because he's got a big statue, probably weighs 500 or 600 pounds, hanging off of him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So he can't really hold on. But he could have let go of the ladder. I guess that was an option for him to live. But, you know, he was, I mean, evil person. How many people did the Joker kill in this movie indiscriminately? Did they?
All the gas tax and the shootings and.
Yeah, I don't know what the body count was in this movie. For
I mean, the official one was probably like, you know, like 20 or something, but like, you know, he probably killed thousands of people.
Right.
But no, it's how do you really save the Joker anyway? It's not like I mean, yeah, you can put him in jail, but can you really like treat him and rehabilitate him? Because it's not probably going to.
No, but that's the thing with Batman is like he's this futile effort.
He doesn't
so you
have
have to
power.
try.
He just does it.
It's
Yeah,
like
it's part of the angst of the Batman. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna. Well, what's the place where they send him? The video game my son has at the asylum.
Arkham.
Arkham
Yeah,
Asylum.
that's where all the criminals go. Yeah. Not mentioned in this, but still a thing.
No.
And in the comic books, for some reason, Arkham Asylum gets sucked into like a hell dimension, and then the asylum becomes Wayne Manor because Wayne goes bankrupt or whatever. I don't know. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, see, comic books. That's why I read them, because they have so much logic to them. That's why I love comic books.
Well, every once in a while, like DC will reset the universe, and they reset their universe like 5 years ago with the New 52.
Yeah, they reset it and they have the convergence thing, and I think it's still around the same, but they revamped a couple things. Like Batgirl was actually good again because she was mature and she somehow came back from being shot and paralyzed by the Joker to walk again and struggled to like be a hero again because she was doubting herself, but then finally got up to the point where it was a good character again. Then they're like, oh, let's put her back in high school. None of that stuff ever happened.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like, oh yeah, great. Like, fuck
So did they
you.
do another reset?
Basically. Well,
Oh,
they
okay.
reset some of the characters or canceled series. Like they had, like I said, they had Batgirl was mature and, you know, like 30s maybe, and then now she's back in high school, and then
I
Robin
read a
died.
Batwoman comic.
Yeah, that was actually good because it was like the first openly gay superhero
Yeah,
like
she's a-
main comic.
She got kicked out of the army. Yeah,
Batwoman.
she got kicked out of the army, and then
I have all of them if you want to read
yeah,
them.
she's a lesbian,
And
and
then what
she's not rich, but she's Batwoman. She tries.
Kind of like the chick in $1 Million Baby.
kind of, I mean,
Kinda.
she has like a twin sister that like got killed or whatever early on, supposedly, and her dad's like an army colonel, or
Yeah.
they kind of like finances her training and equipment and stuff.
Oh
like
yeah, that's
that.
right. Yeah, yeah.
And she also has more of a supernatural edge to stuff she does, like the first like trade. She's like battling this like weird spirit, like her children. She drowned them to death, like
Yeah.
saved them from somebody, and she's trying to solve all these drowning murders, and it's like this weird spirit that she's trying to put to
And
rest.
there's just like, is that the Black Mask? Who's this dude who's just like? It seems like there's some CIA dude who's just a black skeleton.
Yeah, it's this fuck, what's the task force called now? It's this guy. His power is like he fucking absorbs radiation shit. It's just a talking skeleton. He smokes cigars.
That's a real
Yes.
thing. I've actually read about that.
And then he fought, but they call him like Bones or something like
Okay.
that. But fucking, he just fucking like blackmails people and he wants to take down Batman really bad, and eventually like blackmails her into fucking like doing his bidding and shit. And it's actually a really good storyline and stuff. And like her sister eventually comes back from the dead, and there's actually a really good story. Like the last kind of book, she battles a fucking vampire for like 2 or 3 issues, and it's actually a really good storyline. So it's actually really good. I was surprised because I was like, oh, that's probably just be because there's other like crappy spin-off Batman characters like Batwing, where like this guy that Batman in Africa that just literally just flies around in a wingsuit. He has no other ability to do anything. He just flies around in a wingsuit. But yeah, DC Universe I think kind of half reset. Like they had like Earth 1 and 2 kind of coming together again and kind of fucking like cancel out a bunch of shit. Or
Just every once in a while, DC will kind of reset things. So like, if you want to jump in, you can. It doesn't.
Marvel reset too recently, so they get
Oh, again?
Yeah.
Okay.
because
Huh.
they're doing like Marvel, like Ghost Rider got reset to be like an Hispanic street racing teen. It's not like a white guy died on a motorcycle anymore because now he's a hot rod, but that got canceled, so that's not really doing anything anymore. And Nova's a kid, and he's gonna be in the next Galaxy or Guardians of the Galaxy movie supposedly.
But I guess while we're on Batman, probably the most influence that this movie had definitely was on, well, I don't know, probably more from the comic books, but definitely some from here too. Is Batman the Animated Series,
Yeah.
which is secretly the best in the definitive Batman.
I remember I watched the first 2 seasons of that.
I watch more of the home release movies and stuff like that.
Those are good too.
like what was
There's
the
a
one-
lot of different kinds though.
Well, what was the one with it's like a gray robe character that was one of his ex-girlfriends or whatever. What was that one called? It's like that was the main villain in that one.
The first one they actually had a theatrical release called Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I remember hearing about it.
So I remember like that came out and like in theaters and like it didn't do anything. But I remember like Roger Ebert and Siskel and Ebert, they both were alive at the time, raved about that movie because they had no idea about the TV show. I mean, they knew about Batman, but like, yeah, they really liked that one.
No, it was for a kids movie. It was fucking dark.
Yeah.
It was like I was like,
It was like
I
the
saw-
Watership Down of Batman.
I saw the Red Hood one, which was pretty good. I mean, it was decent. Like I think because they kind of been doing now is they like they take comic books and they kind of turn them into movies.
Mm-hmm.
They did that just recently. They did like a TV version or a home video version of The Killing Joke, which is probably one of the most famous Batman comics.
Which is that the one Kevin Smith did?
No, it was Alan Moore.
Oh, Alan Moore. Okay. Which was the one Kevin Smith did?
I'm I don't know. I'm not sure what you're talking. I remember he made a character, I think, for Batman called Onomatopoeia.
Onomatopoeia.
How do you say that word? You know what I'm talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about.
Yeah, because like you know how like that an onomatopoeia is a word that you say that is like sounds like the sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so he made a villain that was that. So he's like this weird fourth wall breaking character.
Okay.
Because it's like when he says bang and it's like a gunshot, it's like an actual gunshot and also him just saying bang or something weird shit like that.
Okay, now the Killing Joke, was that the one on the cover where the Joker was taking pictures with an old fashioned camera?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
rated R too. So
Yeah, it's rated R.
I think I've heard of that one.
That is that and the Dark Knight Returns are the two most famous Batman comics. Because that was like the first. That was like those were the first couple of comics like after the comic book code. It's like you couldn't do anything like nasty or anything like that, and everyone had to be wholesome. And these were the two like, oh, this is dark as shit.
Yeah.
Because what happens in Killing Joke, I'll spoil it for you, but
Yeah, go ahead. I'm not going to read comics. So.
I mean it's a really short comic. It's not like a whole series or anything.
Well,
You know
yeah.
what?
Plus,
Let me look it up real quick. Let me see how much it costs, and I might read comics.
well, if I had it, I'd send it to you so you can read it. But I just have the one where Robin gets killed, or at least Tim Drake gets killed.
Yeah, that's what kind of what Red Hood's about. Is it's one of the Robins gets killed.
Yeah, I
and it
think
gets
it's
brought back to life.
Tim Drake, I think the second one. Because he's like brought back through a Lazarus pit or whatever.
Yep,
and-
yep, that's the one. And he's like super violent and everything because he goes around and he like kills all the drug lords in Gotham and he takes over the drug scene. He's like, and that's like the kind of like philosophical argument between him and Batman. He's like, look, I can control the crime now. So I'm literally in charge of it.
No, that's what the New 52 when they brought Red Hood back out and gave him like he was dark just like that. And they had a really good conflict of interest going the first two issues with him and Batman, and they totally abandoned it. It was like, oh no, he's just like Batman. He just uses guns. And he doesn't kill people though anymore. It's like okay, like what the fuck?
I can put the Killing Joke on my Kindle.
Okay.
Oh, is it free?
No, it's
Okay.
like $8.
Oh, that's not bad.
So you got to read the Killing Joke, or should we talk about it?
I don't know. I might. Should I? You think I should? I mean, if Alan Moore did it, I have read almost every Alan Moore.
Okay, you
I
should
like
probably.
The Watchmen. I liked V.
All right, then you should probably complete the Alan Moore
Yeah.
collection.
Okay. All right. So yeah, because I can do that. Kindle. Sorry to derail the discussion.
No, it's on. Like I just won't talk about the Killing. But anyways, yeah, they did a TV or a home movie version of the Killing Joke that's rated R and has all the whole cast from the animated series back to it.
Oh,
So
okay.
Mark Hamill's the Joker again.
Yep.
And I-
Yeah, because he wasn't the Joker in a bunch of them. He still played the Joker in the Arkham video games. They did a home video version of The Dark Knight Returns where Kevin Conroy wasn't Bruce Wayne, and that's always weird when he doesn't play Bruce Wayne. They had Peter Weller play Bruce Wayne.
That sounds bizarre enough to be cool. Tell me about that.
Well, because like in The Dark Knight Returns, it's an older Batman, so that sort of makes sense. But it's just like he's just so gruff.
And
in
Peter
his
Weller.
delivery. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of those Batman movies. They're usually pretty good. Like almost all the animated Batman stuff is good. Batman Beyond was good. I heard The Batman was good.
I saw Batman Beyond's the last one I saw, but I was kind of mad because I didn't get to see the last season, so I have no idea how that show turned out.
Do they not have it on Netflix?
I'll have to check, but I know
So I know they have the
they're
animated
finally
series.
doing comics for it again. They put the Batman Beyond character in more of the comics. I like that because I thought that was a good character and a good story arc. But I know you can get it on DVD or whatever, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Batman Beyond is surprisingly really good. Like because they kind of like it's the future of Gotham.
Right? Yeah. It's like, what's the time frame in Batman Beyond?
Oh, I mean, Bruce Wayne's still alive, but he's like in his 70s or something like that.
Yeah, he's pretty much either in a wheelchair or sitting down most of the time.
And he's like kind of serving as a
Alfred.
Alfred, or a mentor to this guy who's kind of taking on the Batman mantle. And it's super futuristic.
Right.
But like
the Joker isn't really a Joker; it's like a Joker gang or whatever.
Yeah.
I think.
But yeah, they created like a lot of like great villains, just like out of whole cloth. Like just like they weren't based on anything previously. It was just new villains. Like, oh man, they're doing a really fucking good job making new villains.
I think it only lasted like 2-3 seasons.
Yeah, it didn't last too long,
But then again, animated shows don't last that long.
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing it. Not long, but
because he didn't have a cape, he was just like a dude, and he kind of had like techno stuff that would like allow him to fly. Like like a winglet would come out, but it would retract or whatever.
so he wasn't a Superman. He was still just a guy dependent on technology and fighting skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I like that.
Um,
Why Batman's the only comic book character consistently follow, because it's like, oh, I'm going to use my magic to heal the world. It's like, oh, fuck off. You know, Batman doesn't do that. He's like, I've got a dark past and a boomerang and some body armor.
Also, with Batman the Animated Series, that's the inception of Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Okay. I know
So that's where that character. Because now she's just like a part of the whole universe, but like she started in the Batman the Animated Series.
Okay. Because I remember in my Dungeons and Dragons day, we always had to take a break to watch Batman the Animated Series, which I wouldn't normally choose to watch, but I did because these guys wanted to do that. And so I remember watching like 2 seasons of, because wasn't it Batman the Animated Series for like 2 years, and then it became something else like Batman and Robin, or
Yes.
okay, because I've just seen the animated series Batman.
Yeah.
I don't remember the rest of it, but because
I kind of tuned out when it became Batman and Robin. But
well, I kind of tuned out because the dudes I was hanging around with doing all that shit with, they discovered pot and pussy, and pot I wasn't interested in, and pussy wasn't interested in me, so I kind of quit hanging around those guys, and I quit watching Batman then as a result of that. So, but
and also the Justice League stuff is pretty good too. Batman's in that.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's one Justice League movie on Netflix, but
I think there's more. I think they make more. Oh, on Netflix. Okay.
yeah, on Netflix. Otherwise, like I haven't checked Amazon Prime, but like I don't notice a lot of the old Batman animated series or anything on Netflix or Amazon.
Yeah, there's. I'm not sure the whole series, but they have some of the movies on Netflix. On Amazon, they do have the animated series. I think I saw the Red Hood stuff on Netflix. That's where they had that. And pretty soon they're going to have. So they're going to do like a home video, like animated Batman, as the old Adam West Batman. So that's coming out soon.
Is Adam West going to be voicing that?
Yes. They have 3 people. They have the guy who played Robin, and they have the woman who played Catwoman. What's her
Oh,
name?
which one? Eartha Kitt?
Eartha-
Or
Wait. Who's the other one?
3 of them in that
I
series.
think it's Eartha Kitt.
Well, you guys know my my friend Matt in Indiana. Like, he works for a company, because we did a podcast, just me and him. They make the original Batmobile from that era.
Don't they also make the
No, they
Tim
just-
Burton one?
No, they just do this the one from the 60s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they
That
make
one does look really cool. But,
Yeah. If you ever see any video of it, they make it.
okay.
Fiberglass freaks.
in what's the city? Logansport, Indiana. Yeah, and it's
No,
amazing. It's like, it looks like exactly like it.
No, because I like the red trim line on all of it. It's got
Yeah, go to their
lines
website.
and
It's
colors.
amazing. And it's amazing what they cost.
I mean, I have no real love for the '90s like Batman with Batmobiles, but like the Tumbler is really cool, and then the 1960s Batman thing is Batmobile is really cool. Other than that, like it's
Well, the thing about the tumbler that's cool is it's real. Like, that's
Yeah.
a real thing. Like
Yeah,
that.
isn't it built on like a Humvee chassis or something?
Yeah, yeah, and it just has an incredibly low gear rate. Like I think its top speed is 60 miles an hour, and the engine's just screaming.
Yeah.
That's the tumbler. Now the ones they make from the Adam West movie, they're completely drivable.
How much is? I'm seeing a lot of commas, or one comma, which is enough commas, but still.
Well, like the lower price it is like it's more like the higher it is, the more like it's like almost the original vehicle, like almost 1-to-1.
Yeah,
And then as you get lower prices, more like we kind of just put the body around a modern car or whatever.
Well, I
Yeah.
hope for $250,000 you're getting a pretty goddamn fucking spot
oh, people
on.
come from all over the world to buy them.
Well, don't they own like the speedometer? Don't they own all speedometers of that in existence?
Yeah, that's what did Matt say that was? I don't know.
Was that the Etzel speedometer or something
Why
like?
didn't Matt call me? He's probably not because it's 2 a.m, almost 3 a.m. Yeah, it's an Etzel speedometer. They've since moved away from that because they bought all the ones available in the world. Because I believe, if I'm describing this right, the speedometer like moves around on a dial like this. It's not like
Oh,
it's not
it's
like a needle.
it's not a yeah,
It's
not
like this and it rotates like that.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
a physical thing.
I think they've since found people that just fabricate all that stuff instead of trying to buy original 50s and 60s Etzel components. But yeah, those cars are pretty amazing. I mean, people come from all over the world to buy them.
Yeah, I believe it. But at the same time, that's $250,000. You're not selling one of those every week or whatever, probably. But you're
What's
the market's limited enough. I think you would be selling.
There's a lot of rich geeks out there.
Yeah, and there's a lot because I've always my question to Matt has always been, even on the podcast and in years later, it's like, how's work going? Because he kind of works in the same business I do, only I work like mass. I'm a very small cog in a very big machine, but I'm worried about the density of the $30,000 to $50,000 truck market. You know,
let alone the $250,000
$250,000
showpiece
cars
market.
that are essentially just museum pieces. They fucking work for years and constantly. I mean, these guys it's like, how's it going, man? How's it looking through next year? Great. I always ask because I'm curious. It's like,
They're all ordered up.
Well,
It's
how
like,
long
it's
does it
like
take-
It's like they're selling Lamborghinis.
right.
How many do they turn out a year? Does he say? Or?
I don't know. I really, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's a
I
long
didn't-
time to make one. I know that.
Well, okay, I didn't know if he was really obliged to give that information or not.
Oh, yeah, it's not. I mean, I know all the guys that do it. They're cool guys. There's no like industry secrets here. They are licensed by DC Comics to do it, though.
Yeah, they're the only people that can make that car legally.
I imagine that costs him a nice, pretty penny every year.
10% of the cost of every sale of every deal.
Good for DC.
Well, what they did, it was an interesting story. It's on an older podcast because Matt actually tells it properly. But I like the story, so I'm going to hack it up here a little bit. They sent someone in undercover because there was a couple people making these, and DC owns the rights to all that stuff. And they were so impressed with the guys at Fiberglass Freaks. They were like, yeah, I was just an undercover agent sent in to see what the customer service experience was like because we want our company represented in a positive light, and so they agreed to license them based on kind of their surreptitious observation of what the whole ordering process was like. So yeah, they're the only people that are licensed to make them. There were a couple of guys doing them, but they're the only people that can legally do them anymore. I mean, they just put giant engines in these big those are heavy fucking cars too.
Oh yeah, I imagine since
Big giant fiberglass body and
cars are a lot smaller in width and length, I think, than they used to be, or at least a lot of them are.
Well, they're smaller, but they're heavier than
Yeah.
they used to be.
they're denser. It's like my son when he was a baby. People would be like, "Oh, look, he's so cute," and they try to pick him up. Like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with him?" It's like he's just very dense. But yeah, that's
Density of a dying sun.
yeah, who said that?
I would have fucking
Louis C.K.
CK, yeah.
talking about his daughter. I think he was talking about his daughter's shit.
Oh, he
Oh, I
was.
thought he was talking about her weight.
Yeah, he's like she's small, but she's like heavy to told or whatever. She has a density of a dying sun or something like that.
Well, I like the way he was talking about how he took one of his daughters and they were a baby on a plane. It was like, oh, those people that travel for business that always look at you when a baby's crying, like, you're supposed to silence it or something because that's your duty. It's just a private jet. So he like acts out the scene where the guy's like, yeah, he just looked back from newspaper like that and stared at me. So I was like, okay, and then he just like smothers the baby and like holds up the dead baby and like, so yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with Louis C.K.?
His new Netflix thing is pretty funny. You should check it out.
Oh, is it on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Finally, that one in the bar?
Yeah. No, from the Comedy Store in 2015.
Oh, I want to see the one in the bar in its entirety.
Yeah, okay.
Horace and Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's for how much money they shelled out. And I'm assuming the run's over now, right?
Yeah. No, you can get it all online. Or you can only get it from his website, but it's all available to buy.
Because I know that he's got the
I bought the whole season.
He's got the new show now, and FX is coming out with his person that played his ex-wife, or is his ex-wife, is the main character.
Oh, Pamela Adon?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's his new show. I don't know.
The person who voiced Bobby on King of the Hill.
I don't know if Louis necessarily is ever coming back. It probably doesn't seem like it at this point. But
It's like open to him. It's like if he wants to do it, they'll let him do it because they'll want him to. But it's not like they canceled it. It's like, hey, if Louis wants to do it, he can.
Because I never saw.
If he doesn't, whatever.
I never saw Trumbo. I don't know if he was good in that or not, and I don't think he really has a lot of things going on besides Horace and Pete. And then
well, I mean, that's kind of that. He's done with Horace and Pete. There's not.
I didn't
really...
know if that was going to be an ongoing thing or just a one shot.
No. No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe, but not with him.
Oh, does his character die or something? Or?
You have to watch it.
Gotta watch that one.
Sorry, I've never been blown away yet by a scene I've watched for free to like want to pay money for that show.
No, well, it's not a comedy.
I know it's not a comedy.
It's
fine,
basic.
it's
It's like watching it's almost like a stage play, and a lot of it's like experimental. Like some episodes are like an hour and 20 minutes long, and some episodes are like 23 minutes long. It's weird.
No, I like everybody's got involved in it. And I like usually what he does because he's usually a good creator of things. But I can't say that I've.
No, and like if you want to feel good, don't fucking watch that thing.
Yeah, I'm already watching The Walking Dead right now, so yeah, I'm gonna table that until I have The Walking Dead.
I'm waiting for it to come out in some format, like a DVD or something, where I can just watch it all.
I mean, you can get it on his website, but I know it's like you'd have to enter credit card information.
No, I can get it through Amazon too.
Oh, they sell it on Amazon?
Cheap fuck. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you go to his website and it's pay through Amazon, so I'm using their.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can just like give you like some passwords and you can watch it.
I respect what he's trying to do, and I don't want to skull fuck him. I do believe you should pay people for their work. So yeah, I just got to find time, and a lot of things in my life, it's like I'm not in a Horace and Pete mind frame.
Yeah.
I don't really feel.
I don't think there's gonna be a mind frame for it. Just someday you gotta like, all right, we're doing this.
Like, crack that bottle of vodka, and it's like, here we go.
Anyway, right. End for tonight.
Yeah, we're only 3 hours in. I mean, Porter can go on for another 2.5 hours.
Holy shit.
We have the rest of the DC universe to talk about.
Yeah, why not? It's something I know nothing about.
I mean, I saw Suicide Squad.
I haven't and probably won't.
I talked about it.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you didn't watch it, and there's a reason.
I've read all the comic books from the new iteration, so I can talk about it at some length.
Well, I didn't know like if there's a reason you didn't see the movie or not.
Just because it's the last movie, it's been a couple weekends where I haven't really had time to go to the movie, and it's gotten such weird reviews. I'd rather just rent it than go to see it.
Movies for me now have become like a father and son thing. So it's like, I kind of got this 50% committee approval. It's like, do you want to see this? Yes, no. And if, I get a no, then it's like, I guess I'm not seeing that. Because it'd be kind of weird for me now to like, I'm going to a movie by myself, family. So I don't really have a lot of that option anymore.
Yeah. No, I just had that week where I didn't have school or anything else. And
Right. Yeah, you had one of those rare windows where you actually have something called time.
So I saw Suicide Squad and Sausage Party in like the same week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we go see Sausage Party as a father, son, and friend trio. And the lady who took our tickets went out of her way to tell me she used to be a high school guidance counselor, and she was horrified that I was taking 2 children to Sausage Party. Like, do you know what the end of this movie's like? I said, an orgy of food, is what I've heard. And she's like, yeah, but it's really vivid and graphic. I said, I think we're cool. And she's like, I don't think you want to take these kids to see this. I said, what is it, R-rated? She goes, yeah, it's R-rated. I said, okay, well, okay, I'm not going to take my kids to see hardcore pornography. Not my kids, but my kid and his friend. Yeah, we actually had to like have a negotiation for me to get past the ticket taker. And he was horrified by the movie. He hates it, so.
But yeah, I thought like Suicide Squad might be interesting because I think that's a movie where like you watch it and you kind of have to have an opinion about it.
Yeah, I tried to talk him into it, but if it gets below 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, he's like, Dad, it costs $24 for us both to see a movie. I don't want to spend. He like had this thing like I don't want you to waste your money taking me to a movie that gets this bad a review. Okay, fine, I won't see it then.
Because that's definitely like a movie where it's like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Because like, what came out like a week later? It's like, well, that has to be worse than like it got better ratings than that one.
Oh God, I know what you're talking about.
Ben-Hur? Oh, I don't
know. No.
Actually, yeah, I think Ben-Hur got better ratings than Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but there's literally something else that came out the next week, and I swear to God, it looked like a pile of shit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that 9 Lives movie looked like a pile of shit, but
it is a pile of shit.
Is that the Kevin Spacey cat movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really not good. That really surprises the fuck out of me. That'd be awesome.
Just the trailer looks so wonderful.
Ooh, the new Kevin Smith
was it Ghostbusters, or was that the very good? Because Ghostbusters got good reviews somehow, which I thought was fucking.
Yes, certified fresh. You saw that, right, Danny?
What?
Andrew, you
I
saw
Bad Moms.
Oh, you saw Bad Moms.
That's the last movie I saw was Bad Moms. And before that, Star Trek.
Yeah, Ben-Hur gets 28%. Suicide Squad gets 26%.
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, like I told you, like when we talked about it, like I know why that movie technically is a bad movie, but like there's a good movie in there somewhere. It wasn't edited to be a good movie.
The film says that it might be a good movie.
Especially like when you learn that like the people that made the trailer apparently edited basically like the first half of this movie. Is like, oh, that makes sense. Well, there's like 20 music videos in the beginning of this movie.
Well, the new Smith movie is not getting treated very well.
I don't expect that. Did you see that clip online where he like gave the guy his money back?
No, but I saw the thing where he was like, people were calling his daughter an ugly bitch or something, and he got on there and he was like, what the fuck are you doing? He had a good response to it. I don't remember what it was, but it was like basically the critique of this movie was like, your daughter's an ugly bitch. It's like, that's the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. And that's horrible too to say about somebody's kid.
Oh, the Hockey Hosers movie or whatever.
Yeah, Yoga Hosers.
Oh, Yoga Hosers. Yeah, sorry.
Hosers. There's a term.
I wanted to see it just from the oddity of it. I wasn't expecting it to be like a.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look good, but like.
But just for being a Kevin Smith movie, I just wanted it.
I think Kevin Smith puts it the right way. It's like this is for a specific audience. The audience isn't you. Because he's like he basically made this movie for his daughter with his daughter, because like his daughter, like when she was younger, wanted to see movies that kind of reflected her in the movie, and he's like, why don't we just literally put you in the movie and then you can be that person for yourself when you were younger, but now you can't.
See, when I hear the term hosers, I was hoping that this is going to be an homage to Strange Brew, but I guess it wasn't. So
No.
that
There's
movie was used constantly, or that term was used constantly in Strange Brew.
there's like some hidden Nazis and a Canadian
Nazis.
place, and then at some point they make sausages that are animated and brought to life, and then they kill them.
Really?
So like a
Oh yeah,
different
did you
sausage
see the
party.
trailer? It's fucking weird as shit.
No, I haven't seen the. I don't know. All I know is I read that people were saying horrible things about his daughter, which seemed unfair,
Yeah,
placed. And like I said, I was hoping for like, oh, is this a weird like Strange Brew reboot? No, guess not.
well, no, this is like a lot. This is like his trilogy of like, let's take moments from our podcast and turn them into movies.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
this
it's
is
working
this
out
is a
really-
part of that.
not really working out very.
Because Tusk was the first one, and this was the other one, and
I
then there's
tried to
another one.
watch Tusk. I didn't care. Sorry.
Yeah, I kind of want to see more of the Comic Book Men reality show, but that's not even on Netflix right now. So.
Well, he has a new show coming out called like Geeking Out. That sounds kind of interesting.
Is that on AMC as well? Or
Yeah,
is
I think so.
Damn
That
it.
seems more interesting
Like,
because I kind of dropped out of Comic Book Man because like once I see like those kinds of shows, like once you can see the production in it, that
No,
loses
I
all
know-
of its,
I
that
know.
loses all of its.
but at the same, I just
Imagine.
liked it just because they're talking about certain things,
Yeah.
comic books, and just like the repertoire.
Well,
between
yeah, they'll
the
take time to
guys.
kind of give a history lesson about comic book stuff. That's kind of interesting.
Plus, Brian's usually kind of funny.
Oh, yeah,
most of the time. So that's why I.
Also, I haven't listened to their podcast for a while, so
Yeah, I like Comic Book Men because it brought the Tell 'em Steve Dave podcast to life. It's like, oh, this is what these people look like, and like Walter Flanagan's funny in a kind of a mean way, and Brian Johnson's funny, and but then I kind of tapped out after season 2 on that.
Yeah, and I can't. It's not the 4th season now or 5th season. I
Yeah.
don't even remember anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's obviously pretty damn cheap to produce. So they're not going to cancel it anytime soon if it gets decent ratings. But I don't know. It's something where I kind of just like it because it has some things, kind of like Pawn Stars almost, where sometimes you're just like, oh, that's kind of cool.
yeah. I
Kinda
mean,
hear about it
like
for a little bit. And then,
also that like once you for that one, I was like 4 seasons in, and then like once I saw
production.
like okay, this isn't like the magic where it's like somebody just walked in and happened to have this item, and you have this cool history lesson, and when you see like, oh, they found somebody who had this thing, and then they brought him in, and then they pretended that he just happened to walk in. It's like once you can just see that, it doesn't mean anything anymore to me.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. Is Pawn Stars even on anymore?
Oh yeah,
It is.
it's like their #1 show, I think.
Shit. I was hoping American Pickers at least was still on, but even that has.
I think that's like those shows kind of transition to this weird spot where like they've made so many of them that they're like on in the daytime and on in the evening, and you don't know if they're new or not.
Yeah,
I mean, at least American Pickers almost seem more. I mean, it still has production, but it seemed more natural.
Well, yeah, they actually have to go places and look at shit. And even though sometimes they're like, hey, my buddy Dale Earnhardt Jr. has some stuff in his house. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is bullshit.
I mean, it's just like fucking Storage Wars and shit, where it's like, oh, they accuse of them fucking hiding shit in there and stuff like that. But it's like, for at least earlier seasons, like, you see how fucking packed that barn was full of shit? There's no way in fucking hell they moved all that shit out and put one thing in there for them to find. Like, that'd be completely fucking stupid. But I don't, yeah.
Yeah, it's like all those shows are really intriguing at first, and then like once you see the production value, or once you see the producers turning the screws on it.
Anyway,
I mean, that's why I watched American Chopper for like almost like 7 years,
yeah, I watched that for a couple.
and then
years.
I didn't, and then I jumped off, and then when you found out like, oh, Paulie left, like what the fuck happened there? It's like, oh, some real shit happened. Better start watching it again. And it's like, oh, this is still produced. Never mind.
None of these people are likable. Maybe Mikey.
Except Mikey.
Yeah, he's
Everybody's
pretty much the
lovable
likable
drug
one.
addict.
Otherwise, yeah.
lovable. Yeah. What was his drug of choice? Was he
I don't
a
know.
pill guy or?
Vinny was likable because he was just the quiet guy who knew his shit. Never complained about anything.
Yeah, but the father and son, were just complete assholes all
Yeah.
the time. So it was,
Yeah, they left a lot of money on the table too. They should have settled their differences and done like 5 more episodes. Because speaking of reality TV, Forged in Fire is back
Oh yeah.
for its weird end of August reboot or relaunch or whatever.
Dudes make knives and
Oh, okay.
swords.
for some reason, it reminded me of the one, like, was it Sons of Guns or whatever? The one where
That ended in
You can't watch that anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I know.
gone forever. That never.
He's never existed.
Yeah, I know, for all that scandal and shit. That's why I was like, that's on still? Like, oh, okay.
That's one of the grossest scandals I've ever heard of.
I can't even remember all of it now because I've heard
He
so many
likes to
things
fuck
about
his underage daughters.
it. Oh, okay.
And he did it to the one daughter that worked at the shop. When the other daughter, the younger one, came out and said, "Oh, he's doing this," she was like, "Oh yeah, he does this." It's like, oh God, really? Who is this fucking? And the guy's a total asshole on top of that. So it's like, oh, I want to believe bad things about this guy.
No, because I knew it was part. I knew it was part of a sexual thing with his kids, but I always heard other shit too. So I was like, "Is that go on besides that or what?" So I didn't.
They're from Louisiana. It's a southern thing, you know.
Well, yeah, I also heard like there's some weird shit with like who actually owns the gun maker license for his shop because it's not him, it's somebody
Oh,
else.
the FFL, yeah, he can't own a firearms license because he's a criminal. Yeah, or he dodged.
Pesky thing about being a sex offender. Like,
When it was like before that or whatever.
oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it was always, the whole thing was a lot more dodgy than it looked. Because when you're making fully automatic weapons for people and things like that, it's like, oh, you're kind of touching the fringes of the criminal underground anyway. Because those are insanely hard to own. I know people that own them, but it's really difficult.
So Jimbo, what do you need this fully automatic AR for? Deer hunting. Those deer are goddamn tricky, I tell you. Fucking set traps.
Do you have enough deer tags?
86. Dead real. Yeah, I don't understand the whole. And believe me, I love guns. I love firearms, but I've never had the audacity or the reason to like go apply for all the permits on fully automatic weapons. It's horribly expensive to shoot them too. It's like, oh, you're going through hundreds of dollars here. So I never got it, but yeah, all the gun shows ended about where all the gun stuff does, and a sad, pitiable story with lots of incest. But anyway, Forged in Fire's back. Nobody rapes any kids on that show that I know of. At least I hope not, because I really like this show.
Is it on History Channel?
History Channel.
Okay.
It's you just watch it. I mean, it's kind of kooky characters, but it's a cool show about people doing cool shit and how they succeed and how they fail. Like, both stories are equally as compelling. But anyway, Batman 1989.
Watch it.
Watch it.
It holds up
It does hold up.
because it's of a time unspecific.
Yeah, it's timeless. Shot by a weirdo. I guess he seemed like a weirdo watching the movie.
No, I mean, yes, he looks like a weirdo, but I haven't ever heard anything about him besides what he looks like. So, yeah.
Well, I just heard him in interviews and stuff like that. It's like, this guy obviously is on a different wavelength than normal people. And that's coming from, I'm a weird person, and I even think Tim Burton's fucking weird.
Yeah, I know nothing about Tim Burton. I've never heard.
There's a reason you think he directed Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
I don't officially claim I'm a weirdo, but the other day when I went into, where was it, the Apple store?
Are you a warrior?
No, because I name all, because you have to name all your equipment, otherwise it's like Nathan's Mac or something. So I always find Alistair Reynolds, a new book coming out. I always name my stuff after light huggers from Alistair Reynolds, like my iPad has a name and my phone has a name, and my phone's called Accompaniment of Shadows, and I brought my laptop in to have it looked at, and it's called Gnostic Ascension, and people are like, what does that mean? I said, that's from the Revelation space universe. And I said, Gnosticism is basically like the rejection, of God and man putting on the mantle of the Godhead. And I realized as I was explaining this to somebody, it's like, this person's going to think I'm a total fucking weirdo. I really just got this from a book. It's not something I personally believe, but yeah. So
That's when you start talking to some make-believe person next to you to make it even crazier.
Right?
Oh,
Oh shit! You see him?
sometimes I have these conversations though where I realize, even as I'm talking, it's like I'm either coming across as a dork or a pretentious shithead. I don't know. Today I was talking about, I'm reading a sci-fi anthology, and it's about the evolution. It's Jeff Vandermeer's latest thing, where he shows how sci-fi, him and his wife did a compilation, and it basically shows how science fiction evolved from being kind of weird H.P. Lovecraft type H.G. Wells stories to like, humanist stories and feminist stories. And I said, I'm reading this anthology, and it shows about the evolution. I'm getting my hair cut this whole time. And it says it kind of shows the evolution of science fiction from something weird and on the fringes to something socially relevant, because there was like a pre-World War II science fiction and a post-World War II science fiction. Pre-World War II was all kind of Lovecraft, Wells, kind of weird stories. Post-World War II was sort of like Twilight Zone, like, this is weird shit going on, but there's a message here, and it has to do with civil rights or feminism or hope for the future or something. And I was explaining this, and I was realizing as I was saying it in the barber shop, is like, I'm probably coming across as a totally pretentious asshole. Shut up. Be like, hey, did you see the titties on that girl walking by? I should try to fit in. So, yeah. We're all weird in our own way, sometimes unintentionally so.
Which universe had the ship Nostalgia for Infinity?
That's Revelation Space.
Okay.
Yeah, all the light huggers are from Revelation Space. Because you've got, what's the first one? Oh, what was the first one? I think it wasn't Nostalgia for Infinity wasn't the first one. Because there's Gnostic Ascension, Death of Sophonisba, Gnostic Ascension. Let's see, there's a bunch of them. I think Voice of Evening, that's the last one. That was the last one before the green flies came and wiped out the whole universe. That's my iPad. Or iPod.
And do you remember the names of the alien ships in the GAPS cycle?
Yeah, they had Tranquil Hegemony and Calm Horizons.
That's right.
Yeah. And then they had Punisher, Captain's Fancy, and then they had one they never was in the novel called Sledgehammer. That was like the one that was supposed to fight the giant Amnion warships. That never came up. It's like, it's too far away to help Earth. It's like, well, that's fucking useless then, is what it is. And then what was the guy who ran the mining corporations? He had a Motherlode. That was his ship. That was like, a super powerful, like, secret ship. They had some other ones too, but those are the ones I remember.
Is that part of the book series you're telling me to pick up and read, or is that something?
Yeah, I mean, read that. I'm trying to think. Read Chasm City, and if you hate it, don't read the rest of them.
No, because the only sci-fi books I've ever really gotten into is like obviously Ender's Game, the first one, and then a lot of the Star Wars books like Rogue One. And I really liked Rogue One, not only because of the character stuff, but also because of the space combat stuff, because it was all really well visualized and had a lot of nice parts in it. So.
Well, I mean, you have the Expanse series is pretty good, especially where it goes. Like you'll read the first book and you'll be like, that was pretty good. You read the second book and it's like, it's kind of the same thing. Once you get to the third book, it's like, oh, where the fuck are they going with this?
Yeah. That's a nice thing about the Expanse. It gets bigger.
Well,
let me ask you, Andrew, what kind of science fiction do you like? Do you like big scale science fiction? Do you like small scale science fiction?
It's just more any kind of book, no matter what it is, depends on the author. It depends on how they write and how they convey their ideas. I don't like somebody that's really dry and drawn out, because that just kills the book for me. That kills momentum. It kills my ability to want to.
So you don't like Arthur C. Clarke?
No, I probably would. I don't like people that can't make. They don't make you want to read it to the next page. Basically, if I can't, I never gauge a book on just premise alone. I'll pick it up and like go to like thumb through like the middle page or something like that. Start reading. If I'm compelled to read further, I find it interesting, I'll pick up the book and I'll read it.
I'll tell you what. Do you have a Kindle?
No.
He has a library card.
Okay,
Yeah,
try.
I
I was going to say, if you don't like Chasm City, I'll give you your money back for it. You can probably find Chasm City at the library. Read it. It's a great book. What I like about Alistair Reynolds is it's what they call space opera, sort of like Star Wars,
Yeah.
but there's physical limitation. There's no light speed.
Yeah.
Which makes for a small universe, but like real complicated solutions to problems. Because if you can go faster than light, well, you just go to the next planet. But if you can only go, very close to the speed of light, you have to solve problems on the planets you find, or you have really weird societies that develop, like in Chasm City, that whole kind of flashback to the remember the big ships that were heading the generation ships.
Yeah.
Chasm City. It's a cool kind of, it's a flashback, flash forward story, but yeah, try Chasm City. I think you'll like it. I mean, it depends on how. It's a complicated story. I like super complicated stories. I'm a big fan of like Dune and stuff like that. So if you like stories that have a lot of depth to them, you might like Chasm City.
As long as it's not like lost in the details, where it's like every little thing has to be analyzed and detailed.
No, not necessarily. Not in those books.
As long as it's a good detail, as long as it's something that actually matters in the story.
Yes, absolutely.
If it's just detail for the sake of being detail, just to fill a page, I'm not going to like it necessarily.
Like there's stuff to
Chasm City. There's a lot of that in The Expanse.
Yeah, because they usually spend time explaining like what something is, but it's important to the universe usually because we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about this.
No, I mean that's fine. I'm just talking about like detail is like he walked into the room and saw that the glass pitcher was half full of water that was tepid and kind of looked like it was floating. Like who fucking cares about the water in the fucking pitcher?
No, they usually just describe it as like, all right, we're going on full burn and like the cabin is oriented vertically, so you create gravity because you're staying against the burn and shit like that.
Yeah, and that's fine. That makes me visualize something and makes my imagination actually act.
So I'm trying to think like if like altered carbon would piss you off because there's a lot of shit in that stuff, but a lot of it's like just like it's just the background scenery, like this is just how things are, and like he'll sit there and explain a while to like how it works, but then he'll get away from it.
Speaking of books, you know that guy I really like that did the God damn it,
Devil in the White City.
Devil in the White City. His book before that about the invention of the telegraph and then catching the murder on like the ocean steamer and stuff like that, middle ocean.
Yeah.
The doctor. They recently found out that he didn't kill anybody.
Huh.
Like the whole fucking book is pretty much like they discovered the body in his like coal cellar, and they're like, "Oh, it's his wife." And then later they did genetic testing. Nope, it's a guy. That wasn't a woman. Nobody still knows what happened to his wife. She just disappeared. Like nobody ever found her. So it's like, maybe he killed that person, but he was totally caught and arrested in the middle of the Atlantic for his wife's murder, and that's not even. It's like, oh, cool. Like, something I read. Now I'm gonna reread again to see if there's any mention of some missing male somewhere around him, because it just made it seem like he was a serial murderer of women. So,
but if you get through all this stuff, then you can probably hit The Gap Cycle by Stephen R. Donaldson. But it's fucking rough because like they nicknamed this series Space Rape.
Yeah,
there's a lot of rape going on in it.
It's
when he said space rape, I thought it was just like he's gonna fuck with your mind, man. It's like,
well, he'll do that too.
Yeah. Thing with the Gap Cycle is it's again, it's space opera. It's faster than light, but it's not for everyone. I'll tell you that. It is written by a guy who's a very famous author for the Thomas Covenant, the Unbeliever. I don't know how many books came, 10 by the end of it, because he ended it a couple years ago. But the Gap Cycle was like his foray into sci-fi, but it involves rape, dehumanizing people, making them into either aliens or cyborgs. There's a whole lot of themes in it. It doesn't come up. It's weird. The Gap Cycle does not come up a lot, where people are like, I recommend this. If you like this kind of sci-fi, do this or read this or read that. It doesn't come up a lot. I think it's amazing, but some people really hate it.
Well, also like the introduction to the series is kind of different from the other books.
Yeah,
because the
Yeah,
real story
is different.
Yeah, it's almost like a concept of what the rest of the series will be. Because it's not what's it like? That's like told in. It's told in like I don't know. It's like it's not exactly like third person. It's like weird. It's almost like a fairy tale of a space story.
Yeah, it starts off as kind of there's not a lot of exposition. It's like there's a space station and there's something called the Gap Drive, but some people go insane when you engage the Gap Drive, and you can put microchips into their head and make them not go insane by turning them on and off, but you can also make them into slaves by putting these chips in their brains. And but
It's also illegal.
you can also be put to death if you don't put those chips in people's brains for the right reason, which the guy, he essentially puts it in her brain for the right reason because she has gap sickness and goes crazy whenever they engage the Gap Drive. But he also makes her into a rape zombie and vividly described scenes of sexual, perversion, done on her. And
Yeah, I've read Stephen King novels. I think I'm ready for.
Oh, okay. Well then.
okay, well, if you want to read the real story, go ahead. Be ready
No,
to defend it. And also,
I don't think it. I mean, I can't say that I've read a lot of rape depictions or anything like that, but at the same time, the most disturbing thing I've ever read is from a Stephen King novel where it's just a train on a fucking 12-year-old girl in a fucking sewer. So, I mean, it wasn't like horribly graphic where it's like, yes, her clit was moist. It's like shoved my penis into her in the dang
this
sewer.
isn't this isn't horribly graphic, but the concepts presented in here
are not good.
Yeah, they're not wholesome. Like this desperately needs to be made into an HBO / some kind of movie arc where you can be unlimited in your power of storytelling and presentation, but it'll never be made, in this era because rape is a theme that comes up in a lot of Donaldson books, though. Thomas Covenant, the first book of Thomas Covenant, The Unbeliever, is all about this guy going to this universe and basically taking advantage of a young girl sexually. So that seems to be something that comes up a lot in his novel.
I wonder why that is.
Because it's disturbing.
But the Gap Cycle also have my favorite book title.
Which one?
A Dark and Hungry God Arises.
Yeah, I mean, there's great. Because it was the real story, Forbidden Knowledge, A Dark and Hungry God Arises. Oh, Chaos
and Order.
And then This Day All Gods Die. In the end of the book, most of the main characters are dead, but for good reasons, or for noble reasons, I guess.
And pretty soon, the second season I guess not pretty soon. It's still next year, isn't it? For the second season of The Expanse.
Yeah, it's like about next Christmas or next winter or something like that.
But I saw the trailer and it looks like they're going right into the next book because they had Bobby Draper.
Yeah, oh yeah, they will.
Because I think the first
good luck with that.
First season's already out on Blu-ray or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought it. I saw it at Walmart the other day for $12 or something.
$12, shit.
Well, that's for the DVD.
No, I know, but still, I bought.
I think it's only 10 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't the last one a double episode? Was it 2 hours long?
I don't know. Maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Anyway, I need to wrap it up because I need to go to bed and go.
Yep.
to work.
All right.
Yep. All right. Well, this week for the American Greed Factory podcast, Nathan.
Sconlin.
Andrew.
Goodbye, America.